A ferocious sector beast stood in a space where chaos air was permeating the space around it had already clotted. It's coming. Both the heads of the ferocious sector beast looked in the same direction. A streak of light was flying toward it, then it stopped. It was a silver-armored, silver-winged man, and a ferocious sector beast standing beside him. "Morosa, you enslaved idiot," bellowed the savage sector beast with two horns. "You're an embarrassment to us sector beasts." Emohi Morosa, standing beside Luo Feng, yelled right back, "Fate also permits me to become the ultimate king. You aren't qualified to say something like that to me." Luo Feng observed the sector beast in front of him. It was much larger, and the bloody engraving picture was more complicated. There was a horn on each of the heads, and the white lights on them were filled with endless destructive force, plus, it held an axe in its right hand. "That is Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat. That's the weapon of huge axe. You're familiar with this sector beast mo?" He turned to Luo Feng. Both his singular eyes were gleaming with insanity. "You've seen the axe in my hands?" "Yes, that came from the first creature from Universe Ocean, from Xinjia Emperor and the others. I learned that this Universe Ocean life form was named Huge Axe Creator, and he was once the most powerful being in the human race. I was living at the edge of the hive, and I saw Huge Axe Creator enter the hive. I found him first, and then I killed him with soul attacks." Luo Feng shot Mo.He a horrible look. "What a coincidence," said Mo.He, "I got this axe from him." Sector beast Mo. He looked at the godly axe in its hands. "I liked this axe as soon as I saw it. Perhaps I was born to use this axe. I created axe techniques easily, and I merged all my comprehension with that axe. Although I can't own the weapon, I can still use it as a tool. It is very sturdy and very sharp." Mo, he added in a whisper, "If I can use a tool, I can be stronger." Luo Feng frowned. Sector beast Mo, he was different from other sector beasts. Morosa had warned him that Mo, he was sneaky. Anytime Luo Feng encountered other sector beasts, they would all roar and immediately launch attacks at him. On the contrary, Mo, he was speaking to him calmly. Obviously, it was saying those things to assault Luo Feng's mind, causing his mood to waver. "I killed more than 8 million sector beasts all at once," said Luo Feng. "What can you do about me?" Luo Feng stunned sector beast Mo, he with a single statement. Yes, the way Luo Feng had killed all those 8 million sector beasts terrified Mo. It had no idea how Luo Feng had killed more than 8 million sector beasts all at once. "Fortunately, sector beast Mo," he said, glancing at Morosa in the distance. "My actual opposition is Morosa. If I can kill Morosa, I'll be the ultimate king. When I become the ultimate king, even if you could become 100 times stronger, you would still die." Hong. As soon as he finished talking, a blurry, colorful light domain burst forth from the body of Mo, he, covering an area of several square light years. It was the almighty sector light domain. The stronger the sector, the more powerful sector light domain was. "Is this all you've got?" Luo Feng snorted. "Remember, there are 2 of us." The 5 pairs of silver wings were wide open on Luo Feng's back, and they suddenly started to gleam. A miniature universe formed with a diameter of 100 light years. Last time, when he had been fighting Betty, the miniature universe he had created wasn't this powerful. Through the origin, the power of the miniature universe was obviously greater. Hong. The battlefield was in the space of Universe Ocean, and there was chaos air everywhere. It could also help with the move known as Establish Miniature universe with a single thought. The endless chaos in the miniature universe was powerful, and it was suppressing the colorful light, narrowing sector. Light domain. There are only 2 of you, said He, but there are 10 million of me. The body of sector beast He suddenly shone with white light, and bloody. Light surrounded the axe in its hand. It immediately sped up, moving 100,000 times faster than light speed, 1,000,000 times faster than light speed. It rushed toward Morosa at a terrifying speed. Under the supreme laws, there had to be an ultimate king born in this fight. Morosa couldn't hide in Star Tower to shun the fight, as fate would not permit. This was the ultimate fight of the sector beasts, the battle that would determine the final king. It was also the fight that would determine the life or death of every race in Universe Ocean. Scram Luo Feng shook his wings and warded off the attacks. The blade light was gleaming. A giant, golden door opened, and the destructive force from the golden door slashed toward sector beast who turned into a streak of bloody light. This was Luo Feng's supreme blade technique, Door of Life. While trying to hunt down the sector beasts, a group of level 5 sector beasts had been enslaved by Luo Feng. Luo Feng had asked them to perform destruction again and again so that he could comprehend it in an area where time traveled 10 million times fast. Luo Feng had turned that into his own comprehension, thus improving his level. Door of Life was a top-tier level 12 technique. If he had another 10,000 years, or perhaps 1,000,000, Luo Feng could have achieved even more. That was why Luo Feng thought the supreme laws favored the sector beasts. The supreme laws would allow the ultimate king of the sector beasts to be an enslaved individual so easily. As a result, it had imposed the 5th law. Ho! Sector beast he waved the godly axe in his hands, yelling. At the same time, an enormous sector beast made of light appeared behind it. It waved its palms. A gleaming white blade of light, seemingly comprised of tens of thousands of diamonds and reflecting endless scenes, struck Luo Feng's door of life. Hung. Everything cracked. Space turned hollow while sector beast he rolled away, moving 1,000,000 times faster than light speed. Impossible, sector beast he stopped in the space in the distance. Its eyes bulged with terror. I've comprehended the destruction origin, and I've merged it with my axe techniques. I'm not like other idiots who only know how to perform destruction. I understand the mysteries of that move and have merged them with the axe technique. I performed my supreme technique in a destructive way. This move is 10 times more powerful than destruction. How could I have failed? Luo Feng, standing in the distance, stared at sector beast It's obviously because I'm stronger than you. His level had been improved, and he had created Door of Life. As a result, he had finally fully comprehended the 3rd level of Wu Qi God. And he had performed Blood Shadow Blade while wearing Wu Qi God. He was able to utilize greater power, and his blade technique had been improved. When both were combined, his innate fighting power had shot up to a new level. It was naturally more powerful than the axe technique of He. Luo Feng was powerful enough to defeat 100,000 sector beasts by himself. Wonderful, said sector beast He. No wonder you're the biggest enemy of us sector beasts. He stared at Luo Feng. He didn't even glance at Morosa. In the distance I see that I can only kill Morosa after killing you. Finally, you understand. The silver-armored Luo Feng grasped Blood Shadow Blade, and his wings were wide open as he stood in front of Morosa. I killed you with my axe technique, said He in a low voice. However, You still defeated my axe technique fortunately, on my way back from Lost Ocean Domain, I comprehended the actual supreme technique of sector beasts. Luo Feng was dumbfounded. There was no need for He to lie at this moment. It had no reason to bluff. Separate sector beast he yelled. Hua. Suddenly, the ends of the horns on its head suddenly shone after time and space changed. Luo Feng felt everything go blurry. 2 copies of he appeared in the distance. The white light pulled back, and space and time were stabilized. There were, indeed, 2 of sector beast he. Level 6 sector beasts could have 10 million bodies plus, Luo Feng knew from Morosa that before sector beast he even started to fight him, it had a million bodies already. They were scattered everywhere. Even if it died, those other bodies could still recover back to level 6 immediately. What happened? Luo Feng was shocked. Wait, Master, Morosa transmitted its voice anxiously. Normally, level 6 sector beasts will separate into many bodies, but all those bodies are very weak so that the original body can still stay strong. However, sector beast he has another body now. It has given that body half of its original power. The original body and its copy are equally strong. Luo Feng nodded. He could feel it now. The 2 copies of sector beast he were, indeed, relatively weaker than the previous, completed version. If the original body of he was at top tier level 6, the 2 sector beasts he should have been at level 6. It is weakening its own power. Luo Feng was confused. If it separates its body into 2 parts, its power is weakened. The best way would be to combine both of the bodies, yet it did the opposite. You should be honored to be defeated by this move, said he. The 2 copies of sector beast he stood in the distance at the same time. Bloody engravings floated on its body, forming a giant, bloody engraving picture, forming 2 enormous sector beasts made of light. Both sector beasts performed destruction at the same time. Instead of axe techniques, it was pure destruction. Hong Hong. 2 traces of gleaming whirlpool portals were swirling and twisting with each other. Their walls were like mirrors, shining brightly. The mirrors reflected one another, forming an endless mirror world. Luo Feng was shocked by how he performed this technique. He recalled that Betty had performed the same technique, reincarnation passageway, before. Now, it was the same way. Betty had barely understood the technique, yet he had separated its body into 2, and both bodies were performing destruction portal at the same time. When they were combined, it looked perfect. If the technique Betty had used was only a blade embryo, the technique he was now performing was a sharp, bloody combat blade. Destruction of reincarnation. Both copies of sector beast he yelled in anger. The 2 whirlpool portals were twisting and spinning, destroying everything, shattering space and time. The entire miniature universe shook and cracked. The 2 portals flew toward Luo Feng. They were unstoppable. How white and dazzling the 2 intertwining whirlpool portals were. They were unstoppable. They are so powerful. I'm afraid they are even more powerful than my door of life. The very moment Luo Feng laid eyes on destruction of reincarnation, he came to a conclusion. If I were to be struck by this technique head-on, confronting force against force, I might get injured, but I have Star Tower, so there is no need for me to meet force with force. This thought sprang to mind, but the next moment, Luo Feng's expression changed. It wasn't right. He had Star Tower, so he could hide inside, but this was the battle in which the king of the sector beasts would be born. There was no way Morosa could hide in Star Tower to avoid this battle along with him at the moment. Luo Feng was blocking off attacks by standing in front of Morosa, but the moment he hid in Star Tower was bound to be bombarded and blasted far away. Upon being hit by this impact, then he would be forced apart. For Morosa, Sector Beast MO, he could fully take advantage of this opportunity to kill Morosa in one blow. Against the combined attacks of 8 million Sector Beasts, you were still able to stay alive. Sector Beast MO, he was looking forward to Luo Feng hiding in Star Tower. This move of mine will never be stronger than the combined attacks of 8 million Sector Beasts. However, if you are going to hit in Star Tower, the moment you are blasted away, you will no longer be able to protect Morosa. Sector Beast MO, he was filled with eagerness. Go and hurry. Get inside Star Tower. The root cause of this battle was to determine who, between the two Sector Beasts MO, he and Morosa, who would be the final survivor. Star Tower. Luo Feng suddenly roared. Before him, a 9-story tower appeared out of nowhere. It was none other than Star Tower, which was now in a horizontal position, resembling a gigantic pointed cone. It began instantly revolving, transforming into a long river. This long, golden river headed toward the two intertwining whirlpool portals and crashed into them without delay. After Luo Feng had created the secret technique at top-tier level 12, this move was the newest set of secret techniques Luo Feng came up with upon completing his comprehension of Star Tower. Luo Feng had named it River of Stars. River of Stars against destruction of reincarnation. Pung. The dazzling golden river collapsed instantly. Star Tower, being bombarded in its entirety, was thrown far into the distance, where it tumbled away. The two whirlpool portal still seemed to be just as mighty as before as they charged straight for Luo Feng, but upon close scrutiny, cracks could be seen on the outer walls of the two intertwining whirlpool portals. Luo Feng's eyes were fixated on the two dazzling, intertwining portals. His godly power was blazing to its ultimate limit, and Wu Qi God was propelled to the third level. With both hands, he held Blood Ghost Blade and hacked with his might. Hua! A gigantic, white gold door appeared in the space before Luo Feng. When the great door opened, a white gold blade light shot out right away to greet the destruction of reincarnation portal. Luo Feng was now using his strongest blade technique, Door of Life. At the moment of collision, there was silence. Loud bangs followed soon after. Hong hong hong. Endless violent bangs resounded. Endless impact waves resonated. The two whirlpool portals were already crippled, yet they continued to assault Luo Feng. At that very moment, Luo Feng stood up straight. The 5 gigantic pairs of wings folded forward to form an envelope around Luo Feng, keeping him entirely within its embrace. At the same time, Sector Beast Morosa was also completely surrounded by the wings. Pung! The impact of a head-on collision threw Luo Feng far into the distance. He tumbled away at a few million times light speed. Pooh! In the process of being thrown, Luo Feng could not help but spit out blood. The blood splattered all over Morosa, who was kept safe under Luo Feng's protection. Master Morosa was agitated and worried about the strike Luo Feng had received. After a while, Luo Feng stopped tumbling. Do as I say. Luo Feng swallowed the blood in his mouth and looked at Morosa. At his side, don't get arrogant and impulsive. I have Wu Qi God and Shi Wu wings to protect my body. My body is far superior to yours. Even with this Remnant of power, you will still die if you are struck by it. Morosa nodded frantically. Understood, Master. I will not do anything to foil Master's great plan. What a joke. Previously, the axe technique used by Mo he had been 10 times more powerful than destruction. It would have been enough to exterminate Morosa. Now, Mo he had divided itself in two, and both bodies were executing destruction concurrently. The subtle combination of two destruction whirlpool portals was reflected through the formation of hundreds of millions of spaces. When that happened, its power climbed linearly to reach an incredible level. Even if only a portion of this power remained, it would still be able to exterminate Morosa. Ha ha ha! Milky Way Horde leader. From afar, the two sector beasts, both of them Mo he, flew over together. You are smart enough not to hide inside Star Tower. If you had entered Star Tower, Morosa would be dead by now. You are quite impressive, indeed, still able to resist, but I reckon that more than half your godly power has been consumed, right? Hiding in Star Tower, you will die. If you do not go in, you will still die, and you will die at my hands. Try to receive our attacks again. Once again, the two sector beasts, Mo he and Mo he, started to execute their moves together. In the distance, Luo Feng's expression changed. His godly power was already burning at its limit. To maintain Wuqi God at its third stage was already very taxing on his power. If it were any other ordinary, true God, that godly power would most likely have been used up in a moment, but Luo Feng's godly power reserve was rich enough, so by sustaining a high degree of consumption, he could easily pull through for a long time. However, earlier on, when he had been bombarded by the remnant of destruction of reincarnation, that one hit had seriously injured him, although it was not to the extent that Mo he imagined. Where more than half of Luo Feng's godly power was consumed, he had still lost almost 30% of his power. 30% might not have seemed like much, but given Luo Feng's godly body, such a loss was scary enough. Hong Long Long. Once again, the two dazzling, intertwining whirlpool portals in the midst, the void space, came flying at Luo Feng. Go! Luo Feng did his best first. Star Tower blocked off the attack, then Blood Ghost Blade executed Door of Life again to resist, then Shiwu wings folded together to surround and protect Luo Feng. Peng. Luo Feng was thrown into the distance upon impact and tumbled far away. Fresh blood splattered. His skin was subjected to such violent vibrations that it split open, and his bones trembled just as violently. Luo Feng forced his godly body to absorb the impact of those hits so that Morosa would not be injured, regardless of how much he personally had to endure. As a result, no matter what, nothing could be allowed to happen to Morosa. Not dead, the two copies of Mo he in the distance were shocked. For every single time Mo he executed the move, it was actually equivalent to using destruction twice. This consumed quite a bit of Mo he's power. Fortunately, it was a 6th stage sector beast now, and a 6th stage pinnacle one, at that. Its power reserves were enough to allow it to execute destruction several times. Every time, you will be severely injured. Sector beast Mo he roared. Let me see exactly how many times can you take such hits. Once again, it executed its strongest move. Block, said Luo Feng. Luo Feng gritted his teeth and held on. There was no other way. Given the speed of the whirlpool portal, there was no way he could dodge, and if he hid in Star Tower, it would be no different than sending Morosa to its death. I would also like to know, said Luo Feng, whether you can execute more, or whether I can block more. Luo Feng hung on through clenched teeth. Once. Twice. Thrice. 10 times. 11 times. Still not dead by now, Sector Beast Mo. He was going completely crazy. I refuse to believe that your godly power is limitless. Meet your doom. Sector Beast Mo. He was left with no choice. Luo Feng was doing all he could to protect Morosa even in the face of such powerful strikes. He was not dodging or hiding. Mo. He really had no other choice in this battle for the birth of the ultimate king. It had no way of backing out. For the glory of my sector beast race. Mo. His eyes were filled with madness. I must win. Human, meet your doom. The two dazzling, intertwining whirlpool portals appeared again. What I seek to protect in my heart I shall not allow to be destroyed. Luo Feng's look was just as fearsome as both his hands wielded blood ghost blade. You ought to be the one meeting his doom. Pung pung pung. 13 times, 14 times, 15 times. This was the final battle. It was the battle for the birth of the king. While it might be said that Mo. He and Morosa were fighting to give rise to the final victor, the truth was that Mo. He and Luo Feng were battling one another. Luo Feng was Morosa's protector. As long as Luo Feng remained alive, there was no chance at all for Mo. He to kill Morosa. Conversely, with Luo Feng out of the picture, Mo. He could easily become king. The 30th time. I don't believe this. I don't believe your godly power is unlimited. Sector Beast Mo. He was in a state of insanity. It had used up a good half of its total power. It had attacked 30 times, which was as good as executing destruction 60 times. Why is it still able to sustain? Luo Feng wondered, his eyes bloodshot. He begrudged the current situation. He was down to 10% of his godly power. It would take only 3 or 4 more hits for his godly power to be completely used up. On the one hand, this was a pinnacle 6th stage sector beast. The power reserve of such a beast was unbelievably extensive. On the other hand, Luo Feng had a perfect godly body at a life gene level of 100,000 times. Unfortunately, there was not enough time. Luo Feng's godly power wasn't able to build up to the level of the ultimate limit. He wasn't being given any time at all. Dissector Beast Mo. He roared, the ultimate king will not be enslaved. Hong. This was attack number 32. Luo Feng's eyes split open. Traces of blood were gushing and splattering. His entire being fell into a state of absolute madness. I must protect the ones I seek to defend. I cannot lose. I cannot. At this moment, Luo Feng was sent tumbling again. His godly power was sharply reduced, dropping to an amount that would allow him to bear just one last hit. He could sense that Sector Beast Mo. He had yet to be forced into its final desperation, yet Luo Feng had been reduced to his final stage of resistance. I cannot lose. Luo Feng fell into utter insanity. At this juncture, various scenes flashed through his mind to help his younger brother get on his feet again. He had stolen the steel-armored dragon's egg. He had set his soul ablaze in order to perish with the devouring beasts. When he first made his way off Earth, he had proudly risen up in the universe battle of talents. He had knelt before True Yen to become a disciple of True Yen. Various scenes replayed in his mind. Sitting Mountain Guest, True Yen, Primal Chaos City Leader, and Hujack Su. Xin, Luo Ping, and Luo Hai Rong Jun, Wu Ka, and Bolin. Their faces flashed through his mind. I cannot lose. For all the important people and things he sought to protect step by step, he had made his way from Earth to where he was now. He had transcended everything. In his life, he had to stand by what he sought to protect. It was his responsibility. Get up. An unyielding willpower, an unmovable, steadfast willpower for everything important to him. He burned with endlessly might willpower. At that moment, he erupted. Hong. Luo Feng's willpower finally transcended the ultimate limit of an eternal true God to reach an even higher domain. It was truly high enough to be the holy domain. As Luo Feng prepared to go into the final battle, as he was bidding his family farewell, that was when the change in his willpower had begun brewing. At that moment, for everything he sought to protect, by giving his all, his willpower erupted. A breakthrough. The ultimate king can only be a free sector beast. He felt as though it could taste victory as it witnessed Lu Feng's crazy demeanor. Go to hell. From a distance, he saw Luo Feng get back on his feet and set his gaze far ahead. That look. At that moment, everything in his surroundings suddenly disappeared. Only Luo Feng's eyes, which had transformed into gigantic planets, remained revolving and emitting endless power and extremely acute willpower, almost like a sharp blade, pierced right through Sector Beast His willpower. Supreme willpower, secret technique, linear element technique. The godly king of Jin had waited for 1 trillion eras for the appearance of a being who could master linear element technique. This was a secret technique that drove many godly kings crazy. It was a terrifying technique that could annihilate even the most top-tiered talents from the ancient civilization if they merely tried to master it. To be able to master it, one's willpower had to first undergo sanctification, to become holy. This secret technique was one Luo Feng had studied repeatedly umpteen times. The moment his willpower was sanctified, he would acquire all he needed to learn it instantly. Hong. The eyes of both sector beasts, He and the other He, went dull then. Instantly, they lost consciousness. The few million other bodies, scattered all over universe ocean, all lost consciousness after their eyes went dull. Luo Feng pointed afar. Die. An illusory beast had appeared and instantly started boring its way into the body of Sector Beast He. It was going to launch a direct attack at He's soul. Sector Beast He's willpower was originally powerful, so it was able to bear the impact of ordinary soul attacks, but now, in its unconscious state, it did not have a trace of resistance. It was like a candle that could be extinguished with a single breath. There was not an ounce of resistance. Instantly, its soul was annihilated. A few million other bodies were, within an instant, all annihilated. Standing far away in the void space, Luo Feng's body trembled slightly. Soon, he lost all control. Throwing his head back, he laughed heartily. Ha 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 ha, I did it, I did it, I did it, ha ha ha. At that moment, Luo Feng laughed as if he had gone mad. He seemed to be carried away with the laughter and completely lost all composure. He won. Finally, he had won the fight. This was the most exciting moment for Luo Feng in 1 trillion eras. Back, Luo Feng pointed. Hua. Star Tower was floating up above, and the black hole at the base swallowed both of the bodies of Sector Beast He and Morosa standing beside him. Morosa was a slave of Luo Feng, so he couldn't resist it at all. No matter what, Luo Feng was exhilarated, but he still kept his cool. I can't be careless and doom myself if you want to become the ultimate king of Sector beasts, make a breakthrough in my star tower. He was dead. Morosa was the single, final sector beast. It could now evolve and become the ultimate king. The king of sector beasts was the most precious, most perfect, and most noble. Of them all, it represented the destruction origin of all life. It was so noble that it could rival the original universe. Luo Feng couldn't be sure that such a noble creature could be enslaved if Morosa suddenly shook off Luo Feng's enslavement when it was becoming a king and destroyed all the races, including Luo Feng. Everything would be in vain. That was why Luo Feng had put Morosa back in his star tower, even if he was exhilarated. Star Tower was a godly king weapon. Once Morosa was trapped inside Star Tower, it wouldn't be able to break out, as it was only a newborn king of the sector beasts. Even a sector beast who had reached at pinnacle level 1 that could destroy an entire kingdom in the ancient civilization couldn't break out, as it was only a bit stronger than godly kings. As for Morosa, it was just a newborn king of the sector beasts. If I can still enslave it, then everything will be fine, Luo Feng thought. If I can't enslave it anymore, I'll keep it in Star Tower forever until I can kill it. Although he was worried, he still believed that he was able to enslave the ultimate king. Since he had been able to enslave Morosa, it ought to be possible for him to enslave the king of the sector beasts. Besides, the final battle had been between an enslaved sector beast and a free sector beast. If the ultimate king couldn't be enslaved, there was no point for the battle. Everything has a chance, Luo Feng thought, to enslave a sector beast. Someone's life gene level must attain 100,000 times to turn his godly power to the power of sector beasts. Also, he has to have exceptional willpower. Then he can actually enslave a sector beast to enslave the king of sector beasts. He also needs to destroy the entire sector beast race. A life gene level of 100,000 times exceptional willpower, the destruction of the entire sector beast race. 3 conditions, and all needed to be met to enslave the king. Luo Feng had met all the criteria. If the supreme laws let Morosa shake off the enslavement at this moment, it would be unfair. At least, that was Luo Feng's opinion. Inside the space of suppression in Star Tower, the 2 bodies of the ferocious sector beast he lay there while sector beast Morosa stood to the side. Both the heads of sector beast Morosa shot up. A supreme force arrived, surrounding Morosa. Luo Feng stood at the edge of the space of suppression, watching the supreme laws. He thought, no wonder the king of sector beast stands in opposition to the original universe. Hua. Both of sector beast Mohi's bodies were annihilated and vanished. All those millions of bodies of he scattered everywhere immediately vanished. This surprised Luo Feng, as he thought Morosa was going to eat the bodies. Hong Long Long. A powerful force was born, and it infused the body of Morosa. Each force had the appearance of the sector beast. Even though all those sector beasts looked very similar, they were somehow different. Luo Feng could even identify Chiya, Betty, and the other sector beasts he had encountered. All the forces of the sector beasts infused the body of Morosa. Ho! Morosa couldn't help yelling in excitement. Its body was bulging, and the bloody engraving picture on its body was getting increasingly complicated, as if an invisible hand was drawing on its body. At the same time, both the heads had a horn, and each horn was emitting white light from its tip. The forces kept coming. The forces of all the dead sector beasts gathered and merged with it. Soon, Morosa had reached top-tier level 6. Morosa stayed there for a long while, until the last powerful force merged and it was the force of Sector Beast Emohi. Hong. It kept infusing, the power of all the dead Sector Beasts infused its body, which made Morosa cry out. Soon, one white character after another emerged. From its body, the gleaming white characters were surrounding Morosa, so that Luo Feng couldn't even see it anymore. He could only sense that a terrifying force was reacting. Incredible. Luo Feng was thrilled. The power of all the Sector Beasts merged into one out of a billion Sector Beasts. Each of the Sector Beasts is as powerful as a true god. The attack of a billion true gods is more powerful than an eternal true god, yet those energies only add up to a king of Sector Beasts that has just entered its growth period. The power was there. Those gleaming white characters were dimming while new characters showed up all the time. It was as if they were telling an ancient secret. A single horrifying, destructive force was tumbling. It was the destruction origin of the supreme laws. The king of Sector Beasts represented the complete destruction origin. After a long time, the supreme law force was finally gone. The billions of characters that previously surrounded Morosa's body were gone, and only after that did Luo Feng see the appearance of Morosa. This. Luo Feng looked at the newborn king of the Sector Beasts in shock. A transparent, giant white life form was standing there. Its body was perfect. It had 2 hands and 2 legs, a mouth, a nose, and 2 eyes, but it didn't have ears. There were 2 horns on its forehead, pointing forward. It looked holy and beautiful. Even some of the most beautiful individuals of the human race, or even the alluring bug empresses, were inferior to it. It was so beautiful and natural, containing supreme mysteries. Without those 2 horns, it would have looked like an innocent and lovable child, yet with those 2 horns, it had the supreme power of the throne. King of the Sector Beasts, whispered Luo Feng, those hideous and savage monsters, with dark skin and 2 heads, their ultimate king is more beautiful than any creature I've seen. Even Bug Race Empress looks ugly compared to this. It was perfect. Master, the being's skin condensed into armor, and it bowed and saluted Luo Feng. Thank you for making me, Morosa, the ultimate king. Luo Feng looked at Morosa. He could sense it. It was true. His soul control was deeply ingrained in the soul of this king of the Sector Beasts. He could crush the soul of the king with one thought. Just as he had expected, after a series of tests, he was qualified to enslave the ultimate king. Morosa, Luo Feng chuckled, now, you're more beautiful than any other creature. I can turn into any shape, and I can change the forces as well, said Morosa. Respectfully its body changed, and it turned into divine-eyed true master. Then it turned into rampaging devil god, then Hong and primal chaos city leader. Even their auras were the same. Luo Feng smiled. The king of the Sector Beasts also had the ability to be invisible and formless. What other abilities do you have now? Asked Luo Feng. Morosa answered modestly, I still have the ability to have 10 million bodies. Besides, I've mastered the complete destruction origin, and I can keep comprehending the destruction origin so that I can be more powerful. Plus, the sector inside my body is perfected, so it can breed many powerful warriors. Warriors that are much stronger than level 6 Sector Beasts. Oh, Luo Feng was thrilled. Lucky him. Fortunately, he had won. If he had become the king of the Sector Beasts, he wouldn't have stood a chance at all. The king still had 10 million bodies. While it was able to breed lots of warriors, it was amazing. Of course, the king of the sector beasts isn't almighty, said Morosa humbly. I still need to swallow lots of energies and lots of valuables to provide my warriors with sufficient vigor. Ha, there's a purple moon holy land waiting for you to swallow, Luo Feng smiled. It will be my honor, Morosa smiled. Luo Feng looked at Morosa carefully. Morosa had been reckless and grumpy before, however, it was now calm and peaceful. Apparently, its demeanor had totally changed now that it possessed the complete destruction origin. What level are you at now, compared to us universe masters, true gods void? Space level or higher, asked Luo Feng curiously. I've just entered the growth period, said Morosa. I should be at the level of void space according to your training system. A true god of void space, Luo Feng nodded. It was as he had expected. I'm different from you, master, said Morosa. I don't have any upper limit on my power. If I can keep swallowing and comprehending, then I'll keep improving myself. I have mastered the destruction origin, so no matter how slowly I am comprehending, I'll reach the pinnacle level eventually. When I reach that level, I'll be at the same level as the pinnacle original universe. And with one strike, I'll have the power of a strike by the original universe. However, the original universe is used to breed countless lives. It can't make attacks by itself. Luo Feng was thrilled. The original universe couldn't attack on its own. However, if it really could strike on its own, given its vast volume, it could definitely reach the level of godly kings. No wonder the sector beasts were considered a catastrophe even in the ancient civilization. Only a multitude of kingdoms teaming up could resist the sector beasts. Apparently, several godly kings alone were not powerful enough to resist the army of the sector beasts. The lives of the original universe need to transcend incarnations. When we reach the level of void space, asked Luo Feng Morosa, do you also need to transcend incarnations now that you're at the level of void space? Transcend reincarnation? Morosa shook its head. Master, you are a life form of the primal universe, but I am not. The level I am at now might be the equivalent to a true god of void space level, but no one has ever forced me into transcending reincarnation. Luo Feng lamented and sighed. That was how impressive it was being at a comparable status as the primal universe. Even the willpower of the origin would have no way of coercing it to do anything against its wishes. Let's go, Luo Feng said. You need to make a trip to Purple Moon Holy Land with me. Yes, Master. Morosa's eyes revealed a hint of anticipation. Of course, it knew what it was going to be doing. There was not a single hint of pity in Luo Feng's eyes. Previously, he'd had to deal with the sector beast crisis, so in light of the most important matters at hand, he had put all else aside. There had been no time to waste. But now, the crisis was over. Purple Moon Holy Land had constantly oppressed the humans, always trying to kill him. They had targeted him multiple times, becoming his sworn enemy long ago, and he also needed to retrieve the last component of his Sherwu wings. Who? Star Tower teleported right away and vanished within the vast, chaotic airflow. While Luo Feng and Morosa made their way to Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, a gathering was taking place in the Pantheon Sanctuary of the virtual universe. The humans and other races from the Hong Alliance and various groups of powers like the demons, the bugs, the Space Beast Alliance, the Ancestral God School, and even some of the Supreme Masters who were lone travelers like Sitting Mountain Guest had gathered here. Silence. The most they did was exchange conversations via voice transmissions. The Worry in their eyes and on their faces was difficult to conceal. This final battle concerned the life and death of all the races. If the news they received was a nightmare, that would mean all of them would be annihilated. Seated at the highest level, garbed in his white robe, Luo Feng's eyes were shut. No one dared to disturb him. Hua! Suddenly, Luo Feng opened his eyes. The many true gods had set aside a part of their thoughts to keep tabs on Luo Feng at that moment. They all looked over. Even the many universe masters outside the Pantheon sanctuary got to their feet. They were all watching the great hall from afar. Anticipation filled their eyes as they all waited for Luo Feng to announce the outcome. "Dear all," he said. Luo Feng looked below. A smile suddenly broke out over his face. Just one smile, and right away, all the true gods below, and even the universe masters outside had an inkling of the answer. However, if they did not hear it straight from Luo Feng, could not rest assured of the certainty of the answer. One by one, they held their breath and stared hard at Luo Feng. They were all waiting for him to make the announcement. "The final battle, we won." Luo Feng's voice rang loud and clear. "The sector beast crisis is over. This reincarnation generation is still going to continue for several trillion eras. Fret not, everyone." All the true gods below cheered at the same time. Ha ha ha. Victory, victory. Great. We won. They were all top-tiered existences that stood at the peak of their own races. But at that moment, none of them could be bothered about proper conduct. The universe masters outside Pantheon Sanctuary were just as excited. Sitting Mountain Guest, who was seated below, looked at Luo Feng from afar. He, too, smiled. At long last, he could let out a sigh of relief. Luo Feng, Primal Chaos City leader, turned to look at Luo Feng, laughing. Had never felt more natural than it did now. "My disciple, you have never disappointed me." The atmosphere was filled with jubilation. The various races all knew the outcome, and the news spread like wildfire. Even the handful of true gods from the first and second reincarnation eras who had lost their miniature universes, and thus gone into hiding in Universe Ocean, heard the news. It was a success. We pulled through. The others, like Ju-He True God and Rampaging Devil God, who were scattered all over Universe Ocean, were extremely lonely when they learned of the news. They were not very happy because their miniature universes and all their people had been exterminated. Now, they would spend their lives as lonely souls, waiting for doomsday to arrive. Within East Emperor Holy Land Universe, East Emperor Ancestor was pacing the vast continent, watching the lives of his people. Have we pulled through? Some of his people were so weak that their lives would not even surpass 100 years traversing the great continent and seeing the life and death reincarnations. East Emperor Ancestor was already prepared, but the moment the news reached him, the joy in his heart simply could not be contained and came surging out. Ha ha ha! East Emperor Ancestor threw his head back and laughed heartily. He was laughing for himself as well as his own people. The entire East Emperor universe, including all the true gods and universe masters, were extremely excited. They were all rejoicing and celebrating because they had made it through this calamity. It was the same joyous atmosphere within the Purple Moon Holy Land universe. Not only were the universe masters and true gods getting emotional, but even Purple Moon Ancestor was delighted. "I have extraordinary opportunities," said Purple Moon Ancestor. "I am bound for great achievements. How can it be possible for me to meet my downfall in the face of this sector beast calamity?" Purple Moon Ancestor was relaxed and happy, then a glimmer of anger flashed in his eyes. That Luo Feng unexpectedly managed to stop this sector beast crisis from happening. His great potential is indeed intimidating. He will become my greatest opponent in the future. Why did he not perish along with the sector beasts? Forget it, since he managed to survive this time around. Purple Moon Ancestor shook his head. Seems like I can only look forward to the future to see whether he is more powerful or I am more powerful. For now, I don't believe I will lose to him. Then Purple Moon Ancestor pushed aside all thoughts of Luo Feng. He joined his underlings as they all started their celebration banquet. Surviving a crisis was indeed a major event worthy of celebration. Just as all the higher-ups of Purple Moon Holy Land were happily celebrating, amidst the void space surrounding Purple Moon Holy Land Universe Star Tower appeared. Two figures walked out from the side door at the base of Star Tower. One of them was a man clad in silver armor, Luo Feng, and the other was a handsome king with a pair of curved horns, Morosa. Purple Moon Holy Land Luo Feng looked into the distance at the gigantic miniature universe. It's time for annihilation. Both parties had long been sworn enemies. Would Luo Feng go easy on them? Morosa, how long will you need to swallow it all? Luo Feng asked persistently. I am different from the second stage and third stage sector beasts, Morosa said with a smile. My sector is now truly perfect. My ability to swallow naturally reached a new level high. It should be very fast, but I need to try before I will know exactly how long I will need. You may begin, Luo Feng instructed. Morosa nodded. It looked into the distance at Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, then its pair of horns suddenly shot out countless distorted white ray of light. The tip of each horn was like the source. Together, the tips of its two horns resembled the constellation Gemini. The tips of its horns were influencing one another, forming a strange gravitational force that completely shrouded the faraway Purple Moon Holy Land Universe. Hong. Time and space trembled and vibrated, then became distorted. A dazzling radiance followed the countless distorted rays of light and crazily penetrated Morosa's body. Morosa became immeasurably dazzling, like a sun 1,000,000,000 times brighter than anything else. Luo Feng looked to his side at Morosa. The king of the sector beasts was so dazzling that Luo Feng could not clearly make out its features. How is it? He asked. Purple Moon Ancestor must be trying to use his willpower for additional power, as he tries his best to put up a resistance, Morosa said. This Purple Moon Holy Land Universe is very big, indeed, such an extremely powerful origin. With the support of his own willpower, if I want to devour it, I would need some time, probably around 1 day. 1 day, Luo Feng laughed. Second stage and third stage sector beasts would have required around 100,000 years to finish devouring everything. The king of the sector beast only required a day. This is the day I have been waiting for, Luo Feng laughed. Within the Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, Purple Moon Ancestor had originally been seated high up above everyone else, while the true gods and universe masters were helping themselves to delectable cuisine and fine wine, overjoyed as they conversed incessantly at loud volumes. But now, sector beasts are devouring. Ancestor, are you saying the sector beasts are devouring our Purple Moon Holy Land? How is that possible? The primal universe sent us a message informing us that the sector beast crisis is over, right? Hasn't Milky Way Horde leader gotten rid of all the sector beasts? There was an uproar among the crowd. Purple Moon Ancestor stood above them all, his face filled with anger as he shouted furiously at them, "There are sector beasts devouring the origin of our Purple Moon Holy Land universe right now. This is my miniature universe. How would I not know? Could I be wrong with something like this? Hurry, send the message to those of us in the primal universe right away. Tell them the sector beasts have yet to be exterminated, and they are attacking my miniature universe right now." "Yes, Ancestor." "Understood. Understood." The true gods and universe masters beneath him were flustered. They all started to transmit messages to the true gods in the primal universe. Purple Moon Ancestor stood way up high with a face filled with hostility. He was angry and anxious. His miniature universe was being devoured in a continuous manner, and the speed at which it was being devoured scared him. He was also fuming mad at Milky Way Horde leader Luo Feng, who had claimed that the sector beast calamity was over. Why were there sector beasts coming to devour his miniature universe again? Could it be that Luo Feng lost? Purple Moon Ancestor wondered to himself. He must have known everything would be exterminated. Could it be that, before the extermination, he has decided to go crazy and wantonly spread false news of his victory? Anyway, he will have to be exterminated if he lost, right? So, in his moment of insanity, he must have purposefully come up with such a ploy. Purple Moon Ancestor started to let his thoughts run wild in his anxiety. It had never occurred to him that a sector beast would become Luo Feng's slave. In light of this, Luo Feng had never publicized it. Even the groups of top powers from the primal universe were equally clueless about the fact that Luo Feng had enslaved a sector beast. In the virtual universe, at the Pantheon Sanctuary, true gods and universe masters from various races were all gathered. They were holding a grand ceremony to celebrate their victory over the sector beasts. They had stemmed the tide of the sector beast crisis. Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader were seated at the topmost level. Joy and laughter filled the room. Suddenly, a voice resounded, saying, "The sector beasts have not been exterminated. The sector beasts are devouring Purple Moon Holy Land universe now." As the voice rang out, the entire Pantheon Sanctuary instantly fell silent. Yes, the sector beasts were not exterminated. There is already news coming from Purple Moon Holy Land. They are being attacked by the sector beasts, and the origin of Purple Moon Holy Land universe is currently being devoured. Purple Moon Holy Land is in the middle of being attacked by the sector beasts. There are still sector beasts around. There was an instant uproar within the Pantheon Sanctuary. Would Milky Way Horde leader lie? Everyone was on pins and needles. Space Beast Ancestor also voiced his concerns. Milky Way Horde leader, are the sector beasts completely wiped out, or are there still some surviving sector beasts? 9 Remoteness True Master was also worried. Milky Way, if there are remnants of the sector beasts roaming around, we must quickly get rid of them. Otherwise, when the few remaining sector beasts start to grow and develop, they will again impose a great threat on us. Dear all. Luo Feng looked down at everyone, and the moment he spoke, everyone quietened down. "Rest assured," he said, "the sector beast crisis is now over. If you don't believe me, you can ask the 3 ancestral gods. I believe the 3 ancestral gods will have received news from the willpower of the origin. They will know whether or not the sector beast crisis is over." Instantly, everyone within the Pantheon Sanctuary looked at the 3 ancestral gods. The 3 ancestral gods looked at one another. The old ancestral god spoke up. The sector beast crisis is, most certainly, a thing of the past period. Ha ha ha. We are relieved to hear what the ancestral god has said. The tense atmosphere within the Pantheon sanctuary immediately eased up. However, there were still a handful of true gods asking, why would Purple Moon Holy Land say that the sector beasts are attacking their holy land? Universe. Luo Feng looked down. It is not an attack from the sector beasts, it's me. I am the one attacking. It will not take long for Universe Ocean to be forever rid of Purple Moon Holy Land. Purple Moon Holy Land would no longer exist in Universe Ocean. The true gods seated down there looked at each other. They all knew it. If the ancestral gods who could talk to the original mind of the original universe said the crisis of the sector beasts had passed, then it was the truth. Luo Feng really might have been the one who was attacking Purple Moon Holy Land. After all, aside from the sector beasts, only Luo Feng was powerful enough to destroy Purple Moon Holy Land. How powerful was Luo Feng? None of the true gods knew exactly, but they all knew he was powerful. They hadn't witnessed how he had killed all those 8 million sector beasts, but they had seen 900,000 sector beasts rush to Universe Ocean and destroy the miniature universes of the first and the second universe eras. At least, the true gods from the 2 universe eras had seen it. The sector beasts could easily annihilate all the races. However, they had all been destroyed by Luo Feng. If the sector beasts were terrifying to begin with, then what about Luo Feng? The one who had annihilated all the sector beasts. It was terrifying to even think about it, in addition to his other achievements. In the world of Gene, hundreds of universe masters had been killed at the same time as just a universe master. He had become the most powerful great being in Universe Ocean. Divine Eye, True God, and others had machine-type valuables. Yet they were still no match for Luo Feng when he became a true god. All the races, including the true gods, saluted him. It all demonstrated the extraordinary power of Milky Way Horde leader inside Purple Moon Holy Land. Perhaps Luo Feng wasn't lying. He did kill many sector beasts, but there's a chance that there are some that remain. Purple Moon Ancestor's eyes gleamed, and he yelled, tell the original universe that there are still some sector beasts. Tell Milky Way Horde leader to come here and kill the sector beasts. Everyone was silent. Many universe masters looked up at Purple Moon Ancestor. Purple Moon Ancestor frowned and yelled, what's happening? Ancestor yelled. A universe master standing down there. A piece of news just arrived from the original universe. Milky Way Horde leader admitted that it's him who's attacking Purple Moon Holy Land. Luo Feng wants to destroy Purple Moon Holy Land. What? Purple Moon Ancestor was shocked. Impossible, he roared in a rage. It can't be Luo Feng. It has to be sector beasts. It's sector beasts that are eating the origin of my miniature universe. Ancestor, the original mind of the original universe, already told the 3 ancestral gods that the sector beast crisis was already over. Cried an elder with 3 heads and 8 arms, that Luo Feng has immense power, and he indeed destroyed all the sector beasts. He's more horrifying than the sector beasts. He must be using some special skills to deal with this holy land. Everyone was crying. They were filled with regret. If the holy land was destroyed, the entire race would go extinct. None of them were afraid of death. However, they would be damned if the entire race was annihilated. But what could they do? Try to stop him? All of them combined were nothing compared to a single strike from Luo Feng. How is it possible? Purple Moon Ancestor was horrified. Even the Original mind of the original universe admitted it. Luo Feng, he's attacking my miniature universe. He's only a true god. How can he destroy my miniature universe? Purple Moon Ancestor found it hard to believe even if Luo Feng was at a supreme level, this was, after all, a miniature universe of true gods of void space. How could it be destroyed? Purple Moon Ancestor had set Luo Feng up without any fear that Luo Feng would take revenge. He hadn't believed Luo Feng could do anything to him, and that was true. Luo Feng, indeed, couldn't do anything about the miniature universes of true gods of void space, but the king of the sector beasts could. The king of the sector beasts was even able to eat the origin of the original universe, not to mention Purple Moon Holy Land. Go meet Luo Feng. These are his coordinate. Purple Moon Ancestor clenched his teeth. Ask him if he will spare the billions of lives from Purple Moon Holy Land. Will say yes to any conditions he has. Yes, Ancestor. More than 10 beings rushed out immediately. Perhaps it was shameful for them to beg for mercy, but temporary shame was still better than the extinction of their races and the loss of all hope. How did I get here? Purple Moon Ancestor raised his head and closed his eyes. 15 great beings flew out to where Purple Moon Ancestor sensed the source of the swallowing. At those coordinates, all 15 great beings instantly teleported and drew close to the coordinates. Hong long. Endless golden waves permeated. Milky Way Horde Leader, if you're willing to spare all the lives in Purple Moon Holy Land, we'll say yes to any conditions. The 15 great beings flew into the golden waves and moved forward. Pung. A wave rushed toward them, and all 15 great beings were instantly annihilated. Deep in the area, Luo Feng and Morosa stood there while Morosa was performing his ability to absorb. Luo Feng sneered, "You tried to destroy the human race before. Why didn't you think of the billions of lives of my race? You tried to destroy my race before, so don't blame us for you dying out." Luo Feng didn't even care to negotiate. He killed everyone who approached. Luo Feng wouldn't allow the beings from Purple Moon Holy Land to come here. Otherwise, the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land would see Morosa. Perhaps they wouldn't have been able to tell that Morosa was a sector beast. But just in case, Luo Feng didn't want the great beings from Purple Moon Holy Land to see Morosa. Luo Feng wouldn't tell anyone from the original universe about the existence of Morosa. After all, it was related to lots of things. There were too many mysteries in Universe Ocean. The body of the godly king of Jin that had flown from the depths of Universe Ocean made Luo Feng realize that there might be some secrets in Universe Ocean that were unknown. When the king of the sector beasts reached the pinnacle level, it had been a catastrophe even in the ancient civilization, and it had been easy for it to destroy Jin country. He couldn't let the news out. As long as he didn't say anything, and Morosa also had the ability to be invisible and formless, nobody would be able to recognize it. It would be his trump card. He needed to hide it well. Ancestor, our bodies were killed the second we rushed into the area of that domain. We couldn't even see Luo Feng's face. The second group, Purple Moon Ancestor, clenched his teeth. Another group of great beings went out, but they were also annihilated. Some even sent messages to their friends in the original universe asking them to send the messages to Luo Feng, but he still refused. Ha. Purple Moon suddenly guffawed, baffling all the universe masters and true gods seated down there. I can't believe I've been proud for so long, yet I'm being destroyed by this. Milky Way Horde leader Purple Moon ancestor guffawed. Go, go, he said. Waving his hands, go and meet your friends and families, there's still half a day to go before everything is no more. The universe masters and true gods down below couldn't control their emotions either. There's no eternal glory, and everything has an incarnation. We're dying today, but that Luo Feng will also die someday. We've existed for a long time. That's much better than the races that only lasted for 3 universe eras. I'm satisfied already. The human race will be extinct someday. Some had already been content, some were swearing at Luo Feng and the humans. More great beings flew out of the palace to take their final action before they died. They went to see their hometowns, to see their disciples, and to await their deaths. Who? Purple Moon ancestor walked out of the palace, entering the origin of his universe. Inside the origin, he could see every part of Purple Moon Holy Land. It's all over, whispered Purple Moon ancestor. My race will go extinct as well. However, I won't admit defeat. I'll never admit defeat. As Luo Feng watched, that giant universe started to crack and crumble. It was crumbling very quickly, compared to when Huge Axe had been killed. When Huge Axe was killed, the origin of his miniature universe was still intact, so it would only collapse slowly. However, for a miniature universe whose origin was swallowed, the membrane would disintegrate and fade away soon. It's coming. The 5 pairs of wings on Luo Feng's back were shaking, and a trace of light was flying toward him from the broken Purple Moon Holy Land. Shwa shwa shwa. Luo Feng kept teleporting and getting closer. The final pair of wings. The other 5 pairs of wings also flew out, combining with the pair of silver wings flying toward him. Chaotic golden wings. Luo Feng looked at the 6 pairs of gleaming wings floating in the sky and couldn't help smiling. It was the complete set of chaotic golden wings. Even though he was already at a superior level, having reached the level of a top-tier true god of void space, he still wasn't qualified to use the 5th level of Shiwu Wing. The 5th level was driven by eternal true gods knowing that, and given the fact that it would take an ordinary sector beast 100,000 years to swallow Purple Moon Holy Land, Luo Feng had waited until this moment to tackle Purple Moon Holy Land. Haha, Luo Feng had his 6 pairs of wings wide open. They're complete now. However, there's still some damage inside the 5th pair of wings. The other 5 pairs of wings making up his Shiwu wings had already been repaired by the energies in the origin. The last pair of wings weren't repaired yet. If I can burn my godly power to the limit, then I can repair it. Luo Feng gave it a try. However, it's going to take a very long time. If I were an eternal true god, I would be able to repair it instantly. No need to rush. I have all the time in the world. Luo Feng teleported and flew toward the broken Purple Moon Holy Land. It was a holy land, after all, and there could be some remains from the 3 lands of extremist. Luo Feng searched everywhere, and he gained quite a bit. Hub Luo Feng stood in the space, and there were space fragments and broken lands everywhere. He stood at the point where the origin of the Holy Land used to be. Luo Feng frowned and looked around. The Holy Land is broken, but where is Purple Moon ancestor? The miniature universe was broken, but that only meant the great being couldn't be improved anymore. It didn't kill the great being. Purple Moon ancestor could still be alive. Purple Moon ancestor and East Emperor ancestor are the only ones who could put up with the sector beasts and not do anything about it. Luo Feng thought even If he wanted to kill me, even if hundreds of universe masters were killed. Purple Moon Ancestor has never stepped out of the Holy Land, and I still can't see him even after the Holy Land has been destroyed. Does that mean he isn't in his Holy Land? Whispered Luo Feng. Could it be that only his godly power avatar was in the Holy Land then? Luo Feng turned his head, and he looked at the end of the chaos air that was where the giant object that might be godly king of Jin was flying. Are there other secrets in the depths of universe ocean? Wondered Luo Feng. The secrets of the ancient civilization and Purple Moon Ancestor is also there. Luo Feng looked into the distance, within the silent, chaotic airflow. He had long had his doubts that Purple Moon Ancestor would be within this miniature universe, otherwise, he would have made his way out upon being forced to a corner. Of course, there also could have been a unique situation, such as Purple Moon Ancestor being confined within the miniature universe and thus unable to leave it. If that was the case, then Luo Feng destroying the miniature universe was the same as releasing Purple Moon Ancestor. But in light of this possibility, Luo Feng had prepared well ahead of time, without even mentioning the fact that Morosa was the king of sector beasts. Its power matched the level of a true god of void space, and like a true god of void space that could sweep away everything, at the very least, Purple Moon Ancestor would not be able to block its attacks. As for Luo Feng, he could execute linear element technique, which was even more superior than divine eye technique. Linear element technique was a supreme willpower technique that even godly kings would go crazy over. Even an opponent that was a worthy match for that willpower, if pitted against another being who possessed linear element technique, would have great influence exerted over it. Its opponent might even be able to cause it to fall directly into a state of unconsciousness. Luo Feng's willpower had become holy, in other words, for any being whose willpower had yet to become holy, the moment it was hit by Luo Feng's willpower, the impact would bring it down without fail. East Emperor Ancestor and Purple Moon Ancestor's miniature universes back then, Morosa had tried to devour their miniature universes so it could verify that East Emperor Ancestor's willpower was stronger and Purple Moon Ancestor's willpower was weaker. Among the true gods of void space, there are quite a few whose willpower has attained the level of an eternal true god, but for them to achieve the level where their willpower becomes holy, that is almost impossible. Luo Feng shook his head. Purple Moon is weaker than East Emperor, making it all the more impossible for his willpower to become holy. Regardless of East Emperor or Purple Moon, they both have already transcended reincarnation, Luo Feng said to himself, so they possess eternal life. So where are they? The universe ocean was just too mysterious. Take the world of Jin, for example. It had some eternal true god existences. Like the four major generals, these allowed Luo Feng to understand that he was not invincible. This was the reason why Luo Feng had to carefully hide this king of the sector beast. It was his trump card. So Luo Feng took Morosa with him and made his way back to the primal universe. Leaving Morosa behind in his miniature universe, Luo Feng headed back to the primal universe in his original body, to the void space of Milky Way Holy Land. Let's go, we shall make our way to the ancestral god school, said Primal Chaos City leader. He was extremely excited. Luo Feng had just returned from Universe Ocean, and Primal Chaos City leader was already rushing Luo Feng off to the ancestral god school, prepared to demand Teacher Origin's release. He had waited far too long for this day to arrive. The Mem Luo Feng also smiled in response. Teacher and disciple traveled alongside one another very quickly. They arrived at the ancestral god palace of the ancestral god secret region. Stepping into the ancestral god palace, they saw 3 ancestral gods seated in the hall. The 3 of you, Primal Chaos City Leader, said pointedly, I think our purpose in coming here is clear to you. All the Sector Beast crisis is over. Shouldn't the willpower of the Origin keep the promise it previously made and release our teacher Origin? The 3 ancestral gods looked down at them, then one of them, the old ancestral god, spoke up. Primal Chaos City Leader, worry not, since the willpower of the Origin has given its word, it will fulfill what it has promised. Previously, the willpower of the Origin already informed us, the young ancestral god added. This time around, Luo Feng settled the Sector Beast crisis, thus making a great contribution. Most certainly, this is enough reason to release teacher Origin. I believe that by now, the willpower of the Origin should already be starting to release teacher Origin. Wait a little while longer. Teacher Origin should appear here in this ancestral god palace. Already starting to release him. Primal Chaos City Leader was excited. Luo Feng was also filled with anticipation. While he had never received guidance from nor been taught by teacher Origin, it was a fact that teacher Origin had immense influence over the human race. To put it one way, teacher Origin had been the leader during the rising of the humans. Huge Axe and Primal Chaos City Leader were the guardians maintaining the achievements and prosperity of the humans. Luo Feng, meanwhile, was the pioneer bringing about the glory of the humans. Just wait a little while longer, said the double-faced ancestral god. Primal Chaos City Leader and Luo Feng stood in the hall and waited quietly. Time passed slowly. Suddenly, a powerful ripple filled the hall, and in the space in the middle of the hall, a contorted wormhole appeared. A blurred figure emerged from the wormhole and instantly appeared within the big hall. Witnessing this scene made Primal Chaos City Leader tremble. All over his eyes were filled with excitement. The figure came into view. It was a man garbed in a white robe. In the spot where he had arrived, it was as though all of time and space were subdued by his influence. Everything became peaceful and quiet. Teacher Primal Chaos City Leader made his way over via teleportation. Appearing before the man in the white robe, he immediately dropped down on his knees, tears streaming down his cheeks. It had been so long. How long had he waited? To him, teacher Origin was his teacher. He was his father, to safeguard all that teacher Origin had created. He, Primal Chaos City Leader, had worked conscientiously and with great diligence. Never for a moment had he gone easy on himself, as he had focused on managing and taking care of the entire human race throughout countless years. He had earned himself the good reputation of being just and impartial, and he was known for his selflessness in giving his all for the race. Even when it came to accepting and cultivating his disciples, he did everything with the goal of strengthening the human race. This was why the various great beings of the human race were always filled with respect and admiration for Primal Chaos City Leader. They never would have imagined that all Primal Chaos City Leader wanted was to safeguard everything that teacher Origin had left behind. He did not want to witness the fall of the humans. Don't be such a baby, said teacher Origin, laughing as he helped Primal Chaos City Leader to his feet. Primal Chaos City Leader obligingly stood up. Teacher Origin looked at Primal Chaos City Leader. Then, with a sigh, he lamented, what a pity that huge axe is no longer with us. There was sorrow in Primal Chaos City leader's eyes as he recounted. Huge Axe was killed by a sector beast. Fortunately, Luo Feng finally managed to settle the sector beast crisis. He also managed to retrieve Huge Axe's supreme treasure, the godly axe, and he has brought it back. Upon returning, Luo Feng had made it a point to bring the godly axe with him. When the higher-ups of the human race learned of this news, they had all gasped in awe. If he could have lived to see this, he'd have been very happy. Teacher Origin said, "This child has always been reckless and loved adventures. I have warned him umpteen times. If only he had half your calmness, then he would not have. Let's not talk about it, let's drop the subject." To have the guts to call Huge Axe a child, no one other than Teacher Origin would have dared to make such a statement. Huge Axe had been the very first to follow Teacher Origin. After that, Teacher Origin had officially accepted Primal Chaos City leader as his first disciple. The three had spent a lot of time together. Primal Chaos City leader was like the younger brother, Huge Axe was like the older brother, and Teacher Origin was like a father to them both. Congratulations, Teacher Origin, you finally got your freedom back. The three ancestral gods walked over. They were also filled with admiration for Teacher Origin, one of the earliest beings throughout the entire primal universe, who was so extraordinary that he was one of a kind. Then, the three looked into the distance at the other figure in a white robe. Luo Feng. White-robed Teacher Origin and white-robed Luo Feng, they were two incomparably dazzling beings from the human race, one from the early period and one from the middle period. They had completely different styles. Teacher Origin was calmer and more laid back in his presence. Other great beings would feel as though they were basking in a spring breeze. On the other hand, Luo Feng was like a blade cutting through the sky. Although he was courteous to others, he was always so sharp, always taking everything upon himself, always sporting absolute determination that made him adhere to all his intentions, so that his presence alone sent shudders through any other great being. Thanks. Teacher Origin took one look at the three ancestral gods and smiled. As he nodded, Primal Chaos City leader, Luo Feng. Teacher Origin took one long look at Luo Feng. "Let's go." Luo Feng nodded. He could sense that Teacher Origin had quite a lot to say to him. It was just that they were within Ancestral God Palace, which was not a good place for deeper conversations. "Let's go." Luo Feng nodded right away. The three vanished into thin air. The three ancestral gods watched the three pinnacle beings of the human race leaving and looked at one another. The double-faced ancestral god could not resist a sigh. With the return of Teacher Origin, the human race now has Teacher Origin and Luo Feng. They will glow even more brilliantly and gloriously. Teacher Origin had provoked the willpower of the Origin into suppressing him, the old ancestral god said, but Luo Feng, even the willpower of the Origin dared not provoke him. He is even more terrifying. The two of them are now reunited with the human race. The human race, how formidable they are going to be in the future. In terms of ability, either one of them could easily attain the level of void space. The young ancestral god commented, "Within our universe ocean, I think we can most likely expect to see two more Holy Land universes emerging." Everyone knew it the moment Luo Feng settled the sector beast crisis. There were no longer any foes from the outside. The human race could certainly expect a long period of prosperity for the countless billions of eras that followed. The human race would surely do its best to cultivate their later generations to allow their race to become stronger. The return of Teacher Origin was like adding wings to a tiger. The human race would get even mightier and more powerful. When the humans got stronger, the other races would look up to them. No one would dare harbor thoughts of enmity toward the humans thereafter. Within the human territory, on one of the corridors of Milky Way Holy Land, Teacher Origin, Primal Chaos City Leader, and Luo Feng looked around as they strolled. "Look at the doors of those universe passageways," Teacher Origin lamented. Through a smile, "The entire primal universe, there are universe passageways of true gods from every other race to be found here. Ha ha ha, back then, I would never have imagined that such a scene was possible." Luo Feng. Teacher Origin turned to look at Luo Feng at his side. "I have been suppressed for so long now. You have appeared for a long time. I have been watching you. At first, it only seemed to me that a new true god had been born to my human race. I would never have expected you to make it this far. Even to the extent of releasing me from eternal suppression. This kindness you have bestowed upon me, there is no way I can ever repay you enough. Please accept a bow from me." Luo Feng immediately reached out to stop him. "This will not do," he said. Strictly speaking, Teacher Origin was his teacher's ancestor. "Well, you have shown me extreme kindness, and that is a fact." Teacher Origin, with Luo Feng holding on to him, was unable to complete his bow. He could only manage a half bow. "You need not be mindful of anyone else, Teacher. That is just the kind of person you are." Primal Chaos City Leader sighed helplessly. Taking note of the situation, Luo Feng immediately changed the topic. "Right. Teacher Origin, I have always wanted to ask, what did you do back then to make the willpower of the Origin so upset that it had to keep you suppressed? Earlier, when I first requested your release, the willpower of the Origin actually transmitted a message saying that it was limited by the supreme law. So there was simply no way it could let you out. Only after the Sector Beast crisis was over would it release you." "Yes, Teacher," Primal Chaos City Leader added. "Teacher, when you previously brought up the matter, you only touched on it briefly. What is it all about?" Primal Chaos City Leader only knew that Teacher Origin and the willpower of the Origin were enemies and that they were going to battle soon. As for the most fundamental reason, he knew nothing at all. "There is no rush." Teacher Origin shook his head with a smile. "Luo Feng, I heard you destroyed Purple Moon Holy Land Universe." "Yes." Luo Feng nodded. "With this news already out into the open, Teacher Origin, who had everything within the virtual universe under his control, would definitely know about it. Then I would like to ask, after destroying Purple Moon Holy Land Universe, what about Purple Moon Ancestor?" There was a glimmer of anticipation in Teacher Origin's eyes. "Where is he?" "He has transcended reincarnation, so he has eternal life. The moment his miniature universe is destroyed, all the races, universe masters, and true gods that resided in it would die along with it." "But Purple Moon Ancestor could still be alive. Have you seen him?" Luo Feng shook his head. "No, I have not seen him." "No." Teacher Origin was taken aback. Could it have just been a godly powered avatar?" Teacher Origin stood in one spot, dazed. Could it be? If I had known earlier, I would not have even considered walking down this path." Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City Leader looked at one another. What was wrong? Teacher Origin looked conflicted. "You want to know the reasons why I was suppressed?" Both Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City Leader listened carefully. "When I first rose before," said Teacher Origin slowly, "no one from the first or second universe eras was my match. I roamed Universe Ocean and had no rival. However, I was wary of the two Holy Lands. Although I was invincible, I wasn't confident to say that I could match the two ancestors of the two Holy Lands. I've been wondering why the ancestors of the two Holy Lands never came out. Even if they have transcended incarnations and are indeed unrivaled, they wouldn't just confine themselves to the Holy Lands forever unless they couldn't get out. I have speculated that transcending incarnations is a conspiracy. A conspiracy. Both Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader were startled. I speculated before that this was the conspiracy of the original universe, said Teacher Origin. However, after being suppressed, I came across the supreme laws, and that was when I realized that I was wrong, dead wrong. Supreme laws are what control all the operations in Universe Ocean. The original mind only controls everything in the original universe. It can't force anyone to transcend incarnations, as it doesn't have the authority to do so. Primal Chaos City leader frowned. But, teacher, once someone reaches the void space level, they must transcend incarnations within a very short period of time. Yes, said Teacher Origin, that's the restriction of supreme laws only. Supreme laws can give orders to true gods and above. I've been suppressed for a long time, and now, I finally understand it. The original mind is unable to force anyone to go anywhere. Otherwise, it could have forced you on AO Master, Zhenjia Emperor, and the others to go somewhere in the lands of extremists, instead of going through so much. Luo Feng nodded. He had talked with Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest before, and he knew that there was no need to be afraid of the original mind, as it couldn't do anything to true gods as long as they didn't break any supreme laws. The reason why I was suppressed, said Teacher Origin, is that I disobeyed the supreme laws, and the original mind suppressed me. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to do so. How did you disobey them? Both Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader were curious. Teacher Origin smiled. I was careful of the original mind before, and I suspected that the original mind was behind it all. I tried everything to search for it, but the deeper that I dug, the more I realized that the original mind isn't wise. It only has some basic wisdom. It must be a very weak mind, bred by the origin of the original universe. Weak. Both Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader were shocked. Yes, Teacher Origin nodded. The original mind itself is fragile. It only has endless power because of the origin of the original universe. I didn't want to transcend incarnations before because I was afraid I would be bound forever. I came up with a plan. I would destroy the original mind so that my own mind could become the original mind of the original universe. What? Both Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader were shocked. Soul transfer. Was he talking about soul transfer? Luo Feng had speculated from past experiences that the original mind itself didn't have any power. That was why it had needed others to kill you on AO Master. It also relied on the ancestral god school to do much of its bidding. In fact, Luo Feng had also considered the possibility of seizing control of the authority of the original universe, but it was only a thought after all. Luo Feng couldn't think of any viable methods for doing so. That's why I created the virtual universe, Teacher Origin said with a smile. My virtual universe and the real universe are like two sides of the same body. They perfectly match each other. I myself am a life form in the original universe, so the original universe doesn't resist me when my mind is spread everywhere in the original universe. With the help of the virtual universe, it starts to clash with the original mind. Both Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader were stunned. The virtual universe had been created to rob the soul of the original universe. But I was wrong, teacher. Origin side, I was too naive, I speculated based on my own estimation, but I was dead wrong. I wanted to seize control of the original universe, which goes against the supreme laws. That was why the supreme laws punished me. I lost, and that's why I was suppressed. The supreme laws punished me, that's how I encountered more supreme laws, and why I understand more about them. Luo Feng and Primal Chaos City leader went quiet. Teacher Origin was really in opposition against the original mind, and he suspected that the original mind was the ultimate conspirer behind everything. He had seen through the weaknesses of the original mind he had then created the virtual universe in order to seize control over the original universe, and he had almost succeeded. No wonder the original mind wasn't willing to let Teacher Origin go. Primal Chaos City leader exclaimed it had to wait until Luo Feng solved the crisis of the sector beasts to release Teacher Origin. Luo Feng was thinking the sector beasts represented destruction while the original universe represented life, and they were completely opposite to each other. Each side would be treated fairly by the supreme laws, no matter which side won. Apparently, the supreme laws were unbiased between the two sides. If the sector beasts won, they would destroy everything. If the original universe won, Luo Feng, as the greatest contributor, would be rewarded as well. But it's unfair, Luo Feng thought. The king of the sector beasts is at void space level, yet nobody forces it to transcend incarnations. However, we have to transcend incarnations after becoming true gods of void space. That's right, the king of sector beasts represents the opposite force to the original universe, and they're at the most supreme level. We, as life forms bred in the original universe, are inferior, and we're subject to more restrictions. The top beings in Universe Ocean were the original universe and the king of the sector beasts. As for the life forms bred by the original universe, even Luo Feng, whose life gene level had reached 100,000 times, who'd had all the life forms salute him, they were all inferior to the original universe and the king of the sector beasts. This made Luo Feng very pleased, as he had successfully enslaved the king of the sector beasts. After the crisis of the sector beasts, Universe Ocean was peaceful again. All the miniature universes of the first universe era and second universe era had been destroyed. Skeleton Master had turned to the side of the sector beasts, but his miniature universe was still there, as Morosa was still alive. So as not to let anyone else know about the king of the sector beasts, Morosa killed Skeleton Master with one thought right after becoming king, and his miniature universe was destroyed as well. Time went by quickly, and tens of thousands of eras passed. The membrane of the world of Gene will turn white every era. A new universe master of the demon race, Renyu Master, drove a palace and flew toward the world of Gene. It usually took a long time for a great being to go to the world of Gene. Renyu Master looked at the surrounding space in shock. Am I lost? Renyu Master speculated that he had come to the wrong place, but after checking the map of Universe Ocean and his coordinates, this was where the world of Gene used to be before, said Renyu Master. That giant object disappeared. The whole world of Gene disappeared. Renyu Master was stupefied. Hong. The news spread across the original universe like wildfire. All the great beings quickly learned that the world of Gene had disappeared. After only half a day, Luo Feng arrived at where world of Gene had been. Where is it? Luo Feng, with his silver wings, stood in the chaos air. He was looking off into the distance. A long time ago, the giant body, which had seemed to belong to the godly king of Jin, had been right there. Shwa shwa shwa. Luo Feng started to teleport and search. It wasn't just Luo Feng. Great beings of other races were also searching. However, they couldn't find the world of Jin, no matter how hard they tried. Apparently, during the past tens of thousands of eras, the world of Jin had left without notifying anyone. Nobody had found out, because no great beings had been there in such a long time. Not until Renyu Master decided to go there to train. My godly powered avatar is still inside the world of Jin, Luo Feng was thinking, frowning as he stood there in space. Deep in universe ocean, an enormous object flew at high speed. Inside its body, inside the world of Jin, on an island of the Python River. Army of the East Army, Luo Feng's godly power avatar was staying there an era before, after his original body learned that the world of Jin had disappeared. That godly powered avatar had learned that he was no longer in the same region of universe ocean. Instead, it had traveled to a strange place. Where am I in the world of Jin? After an era, the universe membrane finally turned white. Driving a spaceship, Luo Feng's godly powered avatar rushed out of the universe membrane. He was very curious about this deeper area of universe ocean. He wanted to get out of the world of Jin and away from the giant object, to see where he was. Hong. He rushed out of the miniature universe of the world of Jin. This is Luo Feng's godly power avatar was looking around outside in the spaceship. Endless flames swept across him. The true god-level spaceship was immediately annihilated, and so was Luo Feng's godly powered avatar. Inside Milky Way, holy land of the original universe, Luo Feng was admonishing his son Luo Hai. I've told you before that I can't help you, he said. If you don't go comprehend by yourself, nobody can help you. You're indeed less talented, but there's nothing absolute in universe ocean. Everything has a chance, huh? Father asked Luo Hai. Frowning, Luo Feng looked out into space, as if he could see through all that distance. He whispered, immediately annihilated. Fortunately, I converted almost all my military credits into valuables while fighting the sector beasts last time. Though he had no idea where the world of Jin was, it was apparently still safe and sound, and all the creatures living inside the world of Jin were still safe and alive. To deal with the crisis of the sector beasts, world of Jin came, Luo Feng thought. The world of Jin, the origin, these two are how the original universe survived. Now, the crisis of sector beasts is over, so the world of Jin left silently. Luo Feng could understand why the ancient civilization had lived in the world of Jin, after all, and those who lived there were descendants of the ancient civilization. If world of Jin remained here, the life forms from later universe eras would easily gain the inheritance from the ancient civilization. But apparently, nothing like that would now happen. When will I see the world of Jin again? Luo Feng wondered. Time passed. It was a period of peace, and more than 6 trillion eras had gone by silently. Inside Luo Feng's miniature universe, there was a blue sky and white clouds. Flying beasts and animals were everywhere. There were rolling hills with water flowing down from the hilltops. A white-caped man sat on a mountain. It was Luo Feng. A simple but giant guard stood beside him. Huh? The guard looked into the distance. A teenager was teleporting toward him from several light years away. Hua! The silver-haired teen showed up on the mountainside. He then stepped on the space and went to the peak of the mountain, the silver-haired teen said. Father God. Shimo, what's been happening lately? Luo Feng looked lovingly at the silver-haired teenager. Shimo was exceptional. Luo Feng cared for him almost as much as he cared for his own son. Shimo was one of the first life forms that Luo Feng created, so he was technically Luo Feng's own son. Luo Feng had created many races, and he had combined them with remote ocean. More than 10 billion eras after the crisis of the sector beasts, the first true god had been born from the remote ocean line, and it had been Shimo. There were 9 different powers in the human race, and each power had lots of true gods. The 3 powers that were the strongest were the virtual universe company, the huge Axe Dojo, and Milky Way Kingdom. Milky Way Kingdom centered around the Earthlings, the remote ocean line, and the many other great beings who had joined. Luo Feng was the supreme leader of the kingdom, but that was only on the surface. In reality, Milky Way Kingdom was mainly led by Shimo. To Luo Feng, the entire human race was influenced by him, so there was no need for him to have any separated powers. Shimo had once told him, Father God. The Earthlings and the remote ocean line don't have enough say in the senior meetings in the human race, and so, with Luo Feng's permission, Milky Way Kingdom had been established. Luo Feng knew that the Earthlings had been created by Sitting Mountain Guest, and from them many talents had been born. They were destined to be a powerful line. As for the remote ocean line, it was a race he had created while attempting to pursue the perfection of the life structure. Each had its own advantages. They also had great potential. Both lines were powerful, yet they didn't have enough say, so many great beings were discontent. However, the true gods on Luo Feng's side were limited to Luo Feng, Hong, and Fire Dome. Luo Feng was too superior and aloof, Hong was too detached from the power, and as for Fire Dome, he was neither an earthling nor from the remote ocean line, so he wasn't influential enough. After Shimo had become a true god, many universe masters had gathered under him, treating him as their leader. Everything went smoothly. Representing Luo Feng, they had established Milky Way Kingdom so they could have a great say, thus improving their status in the human race. They had to fight for it. The humans were far too powerful now. After more than 6 trillion eras, there were 98 true gods in the human race and 1,222 universe masters. The humans were fighting for various resources, as well as authority. Father God, said Shimo respectfully. Another person became a universe master in Milky Way Kingdom. Luo Feng nodded. He didn't care much about someone becoming a universe master. Brother Naku has been improving very quickly, said Shimo. If given enough time, he'll become a universe master. Naku had been the leading teenager in Blood River World when he had still been weak. Luo Feng was a superior being within the human race now, but he still paid attention to the development of Blood River World, including the growth of Naku. He had even helped him 3 times in secret, though Naku hadn't noticed. In Luo Feng's mind, if Naku couldn't become an emperor on his own, there was no need to guide him. Only if he could become an emperor would he be valuable. Although Luo Feng had helped him 3 times in secret before, Naku was mainly on his own. He had been through a lot, and after billions of years, he had finally become an emperor. When Naku had become an emperor, Luo Feng had traveled to Blood River World in the flesh and had admitted him as his disciple. Luo Feng would provide him with guidance once in a while she Emma was responsible for most of the job. Although Naku has reached the limit of universe nights, Shiamo said. Shaking his head, he might not have enough time to become a universe master. In this universe era. Hub Luo Feng frowned. It's time. In accordance with your order, I've been keeping my eyes on the original universe, said Shiamo respectfully. Now, everything that's happening in the original universe means that the original universe has reached the end soon. It'll be destroyed. Everything. Luo Feng looked at Shiamo. Shiamo nodded. In many star domains, lots of stars have been destroyed. It's normal for a star to meet its end, but it has never before happened on such a large scale. Besides, the probability of a talent being born is declining. Mo had outlined every situation. Finally, it's going to be destroyed. Luo Feng suddenly stood up. He'd been waiting for this for a long time. He had reached the level of a top-tier true god of void space. While fighting the sector beasts, he had been able to create top-tier level 12 techniques before. After more than 6 trillion eras, he'd been talking with Morosa a lot, and Morosa kept showing him the destruction origin, allowing him to comprehend it. Luo Feng had made quite a few improvements. However, he couldn't compare to Morosa. He was already at the level of limit true gods of void space. Yet Morosa advanced so quickly that Luo Feng was jealous. It had already been as powerful as a true god of void space when it first entered its growth period. And now, after more than 6 trillion eras, Morosa had reached the level of an eternal true god. Master, said the guard standing to the side, also excited. Luo Feng took a look at the guard. The guard was Morosa. I've been waiting for this moment for so long. Luo Feng smiled. Father God. Shiamo was dazed. Little did he know was that the original mind had made a promise to Luo Feng, a promise that he could comprehend the destruction of the original universe. It was a supreme opportunity. However, I need to go to one place beforehand. Luo Feng looked out into space. You don't need to follow. So Luo Feng took a step and disappeared. Shiamo and that guard gave each other a look. In a silent, deserted star domain where no life forms could be born, Luo Feng appeared. It's been a long time, whispered Luo Feng. He had been nothing but a bewildered brat from Earth when he'd entered the universe before. Now sitting mountain guest had been of great help to him in reaching this level. What does teacher sitting mountain guest want from me? Said Luo Feng. I thought teacher would come and find me after the crisis of the sector beasts. But he never did. I wasn't in a rush, so I keep waiting, yet teacher never called me. Luo Feng touched the space, as he could sense that there were dimming ripples in the space. The second he entered the original universe, he understood that the original universe had entered the final stage. It would be destroyed after a short while. After he had comprehended the destruction, he wouldn't suppress his power anymore. Instead, he would go and make a breakthrough to the level of a true god of void space. Then, he would go transcend incarnation. However, sitting mountain guest had never instructed him on what to do or what he wanted. Luo Feng was willing to do anything for sitting mountain guest, even if it meant risking his own life. Hua. Luo Feng stepped through space and arrived in front of a palace. There was a giant fountain in front of the palace, and there were fish swimming in the pond. An elder stood beside the pond, gazing at it all, looking very relaxed. Sitting mountain guest looked at the pond and said, "Here you come." "Yes, I have arrived now." Luo Feng walked toward him. Sitting mountain guest smiled and took a glance at him. "I've been wondering Who had the greater patience between the two of us? As it turns out, I'm the more patient one. Luo Feng smiled. It had nothing to do with patience. Teacher Sitting Mountain Guest had devoted so much energy to him, and he gave him a valuable, like Star Tower. He had even been willing to sacrifice his own miniature universe to protect Luo Feng's miniature universe during the crisis of the sector beasts. It all showed how much Sitting Mountain Guest valued Luo Feng. How could Sitting Mountain Guest say that this was only about patience like a child? Teacher, said Luo Feng, he couldn't help but ask. This universe era of the original universe is about to end. After I comprehend the whole process of destruction of the original universe, I won't suppress my power anymore. I'll go make a breakthrough and transcend incarnation. Teacher, if you want me to do anything for you, please just tell me now. Ha ha ha. Sitting Mountain Guest laughed. No need to rush things. There's still no need to rush. Luo Feng was dazed. Sitting Mountain Guest turned his hand, and a golden crystal appeared on his palm. He looked at the golden crystal for a long time before giving it to Luo Feng. What is this? Teacher Luo Feng took a look at the golden crystal. It did not appear to be valuable. Take it, said Sitting Mountain Guest. There's a virtual consciousness in it. A virtual consciousness? Luo Feng was confused. Though the last generation of Duandong River was dead, it had left a virtual consciousness to select its inheritors. The godly king of Jin had also left a virtual consciousness behind before he died. That virtual consciousness had all the memories of his original body, but it didn't have any combat power. It was only an artificial intelligence, a machine with many memories. That's my virtual consciousness, said Sitting Mountain Guest. I've told you that there's something I can't say out loud. I can't do it under the supreme laws. Luo Feng was dumbfounded. When you're transcending incarnation, Sitting Mountain Guest smiled. When you're transcending incarnation, you won't be restricted by supreme laws, and that is when my virtual consciousness can tell you everything. When you're transcending incarnation, bring out that golden crystal. My virtual consciousness will appear, and you'll learn everything. Luo Feng nodded, though he was pondering. Sitting Mountain Guest meant no wonder Sitting Mountain Guest wasn't in a rush. He could only tell Luo Feng everything while he was transcending incarnation. Go, said Sitting Mountain Guest. Prepare yourself. The original universe is the most perfect and vast universe. Its destruction contains endless mysteries. It'll benefit you in a way you can't even imagine. Comprehend it carefully. After that, you can go transcend incarnation. Don't be afraid of incarnation transcendence. It's not a trap. Instead, it's a good thing. Luo Feng was dazed. He bowed to show his gratefulness, then left. Within the solar system, a couple in white stood amid the void space as they looked afar at a massive celestial body that was glowing red. It was a gigantic red star. Even for a newborn star, Luo Feng whispered, the moment the original universe enters its final stage, this star will rapidly age and change. The process will be much faster than the evolution of a normal star. Very quickly, it will reach the stage of becoming a gigantic red star. Haven't you mentioned it before? Beside him, Su Xian said with a laugh, now that it is entering its final stage, the origin of the original universe is absorbing energy from all life forms and celestial bodies. Naturally, it will decline faster. She sighed. 4 years beyond count, the moment a star reached the end of its life, for the sake of Earth, we would move to another star. Now, even Earth is gone. Luo Feng nodded gently. Not long ago, when this newborn star, which had just been shifted over started to age rapidly. Numerous great beings from the pulse of Earth had decided to directly move their ancestral world, Earth, into the miniature universe. Upon obtaining Luo Feng's permission, the final decision was to move Earth into Luo Feng's miniature universe. Luo Feng would set aside a special area of space within his miniature universe for Earth, and this area would be a simulated environment of the solar system. Luo Feng let out another sigh as he whispered, "Another reincarnation era is coming to an end, just like that." I can still recall the memories of our past, Su Xian reminisced. Back then, we were only 2 high school students in the headquarters city of Earth. No one would have expected the 2 of us to be able to live until today, to live to witness the day all the oceans dry up, and the rocks crumble to dust, and the entire universe is finally destroyed. Luo Feng lowered his head to look at his wife. By his side, husband and wife looked at one another and smiled. He turned back to look at that gigantic star, red and glowing. It was beautiful, so beautiful, just like the sunset during the Earth's era. After a long time, Luo Feng's brows twitched. Su Xian looked confused as she asked, "What is it then?" As if also sensing something, she, too, looked into the distance. A figure could be seen appearing amidst the distant void space. Shortly after, the figure flew over to them. It was a universe master garbed in a colorful outer robe. Both her eyes were shining with light that was even more colorful than her outfit. She was one of the beast gods from within Ancestral God School. She bowed deferentially. "Honorable Milky Way Horde leader," she said, "I am here by order of the 3 ancestral gods." The 3 ancestral gods wish to inform that the original universe will be destroyed 3 years from now. I trust that Milky Way Horde leader still remembers the promise that was made back then. Please do make it a point to make your way to Ancestral God Palace before the time limit of 3 years is up, Milky Way Horde leader. Luo Feng nodded. "Got it. I shall not impose any further." The female beast god bowed again, then quietly left. "Only left with 3 years," Su Xian sighed softly. "Yes, 3 years," Luo Feng nodded. Su Xian looked at Luo Feng. She knew that the moment this reincarnation era came to an end, it would not be long before Luo Feng would leave to try to achieve a breakthrough of reincarnation. How could she not worry? The time limit of the final 3 years brought about an increase in the speed at which the various races in the original universe moved about. In the face of the decline of the entire original universe, they had to relocate. 2 youths boarded a spaceship that was just about to take off for a faraway star traveler. The planet was the gathering point. "Even the original universe is going to be destroyed," said one. "I really wish I could bring more friends along with me. Unfortunately, each of us can only take 10 people." "Stop lamenting," said the other. "How big is the original universe, and how big can a miniature universe be?" "It is fated that 99,999% of the people going up will not have the chance to move into his miniature universe. We are the talents accepted by the Milky Way Kingdom, which has allowed us to bring up to 10 people with us." It was a large-scale relocation. The criterion for the relocation of the human race followed this order. Firstly, all the sector lords, undying fighters, and those who were higher would be taken away. Next would be those talents who were chosen to be taken in by the 9 groups of major powers, such as Milky Way Kingdom, the Virtual Universe Company, the Huge Axe Dojo, and Universe Star Riverbank. A handful of talents from certain rounds of the War of Talents who had not been accepted by any party but had demonstrated Outstanding performances were also taken away. Then, based on how high or low their abilities were, they could bring family members and friends along with them. In fact, by comparison, the relocation of humans had been a much kinder process compared to that of the demons and the automaton race. This was because the human race had a very formidable true god, Luo Feng. The humans might have had 98 true gods, but the surface area of Luo Feng's miniature universe alone was 1,000 times larger than that of any other true god. He alone had the same volume as 1,000 true gods' miniature universes. Furthermore, Luo Feng and Teacher Origin would both achieve their breakthroughs and become true gods of void space by the end of this reincarnation era. By that time, their miniature universes would be able to accommodate even more life forms and great beings. This was why, regardless of anything, they were squeezing in as many life forms as they could. There was no need to worry about whether the miniature universes would be able to bear the weight of future multiplications in numbers of life forms. This was because things would get much easier the moment there was a breakthrough for the miniature universe. This was the reason why so many humans were involved in the relocation process. But, compared to the countless number of humans within the entire original universe, it was still only a minority who could be chosen. Within Luo Feng's miniature universe, at 9 sectors mountain, there were gurgling streams, rolling mountain, birds, and beasts all around. It was a beautiful place, and it was also where Luo Feng had remained in solitude while cultivating. Usually, this place would be managed by Morosa. So. From afar, a dense crowd of figures was flying over. This attracted Luo Feng's attention. He was conversing with his parents and wife. He turned to take a look. Over 1,000 figures descended with great deference. They all bowed and greeted Milky Way ancestor. The 3,000-odd figures were all universe masters. The humans had a total of 1,222 universe masters. During this round of relocation, they had been scattered and were entering various miniature universes as Luo Feng's miniature universe was the biggest of all. The number of universe masters choosing to come here would naturally be the most, especially those with the potential of becoming true gods. Almost all of these hopefuls had arrived in his miniature universe. The number of universe masters that the humans had entrusted to Luo Feng's miniature universe exceeded 900. In addition, there were also some other races from the Hong Alliance without any true gods in his universe. The Hong Alliance was the leader of the humans, so it was a given that their races should be taken care of, too. This was why there was also more than 3,000 universe masters from the Hong Alliance who had made their way into Luo Feng's miniature universe. More than 900 universe masters from the human race had brought along with them a sea of humans, consisting of universe knights, undying fighters, sector lords, countless talented beings, countless accompanying populations, etc. All have arrived, said Luo Feng with a smile. Let's act according to the plan that we have come up with, then. Yes, ancestor, over 1,000 universe masters replied with deference. Then, one after another, they left at high speed. They dispersed all over the 100,000 plane surfaces and started releasing the human beings they had brought along with them. The respective plane surfaces where these humans were released would serve as their future homes. Father, you have become an ancestor, Luo Hai said with great envy. In the future, commented Luo Ping, the humans will multiply, generation after generation, and they will all be multiplying within Father's universe. Father will soon be making his breakthrough. By then, our Milky Way Holy Land universe will become an eternal existence in the future. Generations of reincarnation eras will multiply here, and naturally, Father will be the ancestor. Luo Feng laughed upon hearing what his sons had to say. True enough, he and Teacher Origin could become true gods of void space. Anytime this was why, internally, the humans were already calling out names like Teacher Origin Holy Land Universe and Milky Way Holy Land Universe. Also, Luo Feng and Teacher Origin were being called Milky Way Ancestor and Teacher Origin Ancestor, respectively. Again, Luo Feng turned around to take a look. From afar, 6 figures were flying over. Milky Way, said the 6 figures, all of them modest and reverent. Ju He, Blood Orchid, Rampage, you have come. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. The 6 that stood before him were all true gods from the first and second reincarnation eras. Soon, the great extermination would arrive to the first reincarnation era. It would mean the arrival of doomsday. Those who could not transcend reincarnation would be annihilated. They were all aware that they did not have the ability to transcend reincarnation, so naturally, they would pin all their hopes on the other miniature universes, but capacity that a miniature universe could bear was limited, so who would be willing to accept outsiders? Only Luo Feng could easily hope for a breakthrough because his miniature universe was the largest, plus, he would soon become a true god of void space. Go on, Luo Feng said. All right, the 6 true gods were filled with gratitude. Luo Feng watched them leave. There were 2 reasons why he had chosen to take in these 6 true gods. The first reason was because of the friendships he had forged with them in the past. Furthermore, he was now at the level of the ultimate limit of a true god of void space if he went on further. Comprehending the great extermination of the original universe, coupled with the constant interaction with Morosa, he believed it would not take him long to achieve a breakthrough, to become an eternal true god. This was his second reason for taking them, and by then, there would be space to accommodate even more, so he figured it would not be a bad idea to take 6 more helpers under his wing. Once I become an eternal true god, Luo Feng said to himself, there are bound to be great beings becoming true gods in my miniature universe. The life forms residing within a miniature universe were not entirely devoid of chances to become true gods within the miniature universe of a true god. The highest possible level to be cultivated was a universe master. Within the miniature universe of a true god of void space, it was possible to cultivate a true god, but there was an extremely hefty price to pay for every true god that was born. The true god of void space would have to partition a section of his miniature universe for the true god. This was something that very few true gods of void space were willing to do. However, once Luo Feng became an eternal true god, this would be a small price, which he was completely fine with bearing. Besides, Ti would not take long for his universe to recover. In the same way, the world of Jean was a miniature universe that was something an eternal true god was capable of breeding. Luo Feng, garbed in white, stepped into the ancestral god palace. Milky Way, you are finally here. There is only a month left before the great extermination. The 3 ancestral gods were seated high above, and among them, the old ancestral god laughed. You are here, so our final mission can be considered completed according to the instructions provided by the willpower of the origin. You just need to stay within ancestral god palace. That's all. The 3 of us will take our leave. The three ancestral gods smiled and bid Luo Feng farewell, then the three of them left the original universe. There was not a single great being left within the entire ancestral god's secret region. In fact, it had been quite some since the great beings of the entire original universe had started leaving successively. There were not many who had remained behind. The white-robed form of Luo Feng stood on the same spot and whispered to himself, "The great extermination." This was not his original body, it was only a godly-powered avatar. Hong. The void space around Luo Feng was suddenly distorted. A natural wormhole appeared, and an intangible willpower enshrouded Luo Feng. "Letting me in." Luo Feng understood the intention of the willpower of the origin. He had no fear, and he strode in right away. He felt a change in time and space, then found himself entering a vast and mysterious space. Within this space, there was nothing but countless spots of light, which were drifting about. Every spot was filled with strong power. Even the weaker ones were comparable to universe masters. Their power was intimidating to even someone like Luo Feng. Within this space, Luo Feng seemed so insignificant and small. Is this the place? Luo Feng remembered back when he was first bestowed with an inherited technique. I am the universe. His consciousness had entered this area before. Back then, he had been touched by a spot of light, and the next thing he knew, he had acquired the inherited technique. I am the universe. At that time, his level of achievement was low, but now, things were different. He was on a much higher level, so his field of vision was wider. This particular space was none other than the land of the origin of the original universe. Out of those countless spots of light, only a handful contained information on inheritance. Most contained an inexhaustible power of the origin. Every light was like a vast world where an inexhaustible power existed. Luo Feng smiled. With a single stride, he could almost touch a light spot in a flash, but that light spot naturally drifted away, retreating to a distance of a few light years. It would not let Luo Feng touch it at all. Haha! Luo Feng laughed heartily. Then he sat down, cross-legged, directly on a particular spot. Hua! Suddenly, within this space of origin of the original universe, a colorful brilliance appeared. The blurry, colorful brilliance was like a rainbow, covering Luo Feng. The moment Luo Feng was enshrouded, he suddenly felt as though his body had been extended. His willpower started to penetrate through the entire original universe. He penetrated through numerous star fields, universe secret regions, deserted star fields, and original stars, one after another. As small as the width of a grain of sand, as big as the vast law oceans. Rapidly, Luo Feng's willpower penetrated through everything at that moment. Luo Feng felt as though he had become the original universe. How amazing this is the structure of the original universe. Luo Feng was infatuated. He completely immersed himself in his surroundings. There were countless spots of light within the space of the origin of the original universe. These light spots could be divided into 100,000 different categories, which were all revolving around the same center. This was the structure of the beginning of the origin. The difference was, this was a much more meticulous structure than Luo Feng's beginning of the origin and 100,000 heavens. It was like beginning of the origin and 100,000 heavens, becoming an endless space. So, said Luo Feng, the energy that the law ocean absorbs can even be stored in the universe in such a way. Luo Feng was in awe. A natural wormhole. Universe secret region. So, this is the energy of life. Although Luo Feng was unable to penetrate into the most basic life origin, just looking from inside to outside from a microscopic to a macroscopic point of view, carefully observing the original universe once through, he was able to comprehend quite a lot about it. The benefits that he had learned about were quite shocking. Yet, comparatively speaking, I still feel that the final, great extermination of the original universe will render the greatest amount of help. Luo Feng, seated cross-legged amidst the space of the origin of the original universe, was silently waiting for that moment to arrive. The original universe is about to be destroyed. This scene is extremely shocking. Previously, I have seen it with my own eyes. Amidst the void space that was filled with chaotic airflow, on a gray ship, rampaging devil god was telling everyone else about the previous cycle that he had personally witnessed. Beside him were many universe masters, universe knights, undying fighters, and even a portion of talents who were cultivated in key aspects. How much longer before the destruction of the original universe? We are amidst the void space during the destruction of the original universe. Will we be affected where we are? Quite a few humans within the hall were raising this question. Don't worry, said rampaging devil god, addressing the crowd in high spirits. We will not be affected at all where we are. Think back properly. Back then, loneliness was indeed torturous. Even if one was invincible, if he led a life of loneliness, then wouldn't he still be in agony after he moved into Luo Feng's miniature universe? Rampaging devil god had rediscovered the happiness of living that he had once lost. He was quite optimistic by nature. Numerous ships and palaces were suspended amidst the void space filled with chaotic airflow. Great beings from various races who had made their way out of the original universe were all waiting in silence, waiting for the moment when the great extermination would happen. Starting to destroy. The universe membrane wall is cracking apart. Great beings of the various races were looking at this scene with a mixture of excitement and sorrow. There were still many ordinary beings compared to the number of those who managed to get out of the original universe from their own race who were not able to be relocated. Even Luo Feng's miniature universe, compared to the original universe, was pathetically small. It was destined that almost all the ordinary beings from the various races would be annihilated along with the destruction of the original universe. The destruction of the original universe had begun. Previously, the end of the world had still in the process of gradually occurring, but at that moment, within the entire space of origin, a formidable power was produced instantaneously. This power was crazily devouring everything. Even for the original universe, with its degree of vastness, all of its membrane walls were splitting apart at a crazy rate. Soon after, everything collapsed. Even the universe's secret regions and star fields had begun collapsing. Black holes were disintegrating successively. Mineral planets, declining stars, and even some of the planets on which life forms were residing, all of these started collapsing. The moment they started collapsing, it was almost immediate that they were crushed into a flow of countless particles. At this juncture, the origin also started to sharply reduce in size. The energy of every life form was being crazily transmitted to and absorbed by the origin, the countless ordinary life forms leading their daily lives, some babies who had just been born, some elders who were lying in hospitals, some young couples who were showing their love for one another, some enemies who were just fighting and killing one another within a split second. All of them were annihilated. The inexhaustible energy of life was flowing into the core of the entire universe in a frenzy. Silence. Amid the void space of universe ocean, living souls from various other races were on board numerous ships and palaces as they watched the scene of the destruction of the universe unfolding before them. They were all holding their breath out of shock, even if they had heard descriptions of this scene beforehand. When they actually witnessed it with their own eyes, they were still in total shock. The flow of countless particles formed numerous, huge whirlpools. The powerful tearing force would have likely broken and shattered a miniature universe that entered it within an instant. That violence, that intensity. It made all the great beings hold their breath. The universe masters and true gods, with their ability to control time and space, were all transmitting the images of everything that was happening before them, sending the images incomparably long distances away. Everything became clearly visible at such a close distance. Everything became clearly visible. The shock was so intense that it sent shudders through the hearts of all the great beings. This is the destruction. Teacher Origin was shocked, too. When the destruction of the original universe began, the swallowing process formed such an infinitely strong tearing force that even a trace of it would have been enough to annihilate his entire being. Such a strong and ultimate form of destruction caused even Teacher Origin to shudder in fear, yet the shock that everyone felt was nothing compared to what Luo Feng felt. These life forms from the various races were outside of the universe ocean, watching the events from afar. On the other hand, Luo Feng's willpower had penetrated into every corner of the original universe. He was like the original universe in its entirety. At the moment the destruction began, the feeling that struck him was overwhelmingly clear. Firstly, within the space of the origin, the beginning of the origin started revolving 10,000 times faster. The revolving speed was inconsistent, being fast at times and slow at other times, causing the countless spots of light belonging to 100,000 different categories to shatter and be absorbed away. This, in turn, caused the space of the origin to rapidly reduce in size. The entire origin exerted an incredible swallowing force over its surroundings. Swallow, it was doing its best to swallow. Swallowing all the living beings, all the corpses and carcasses, the entire original universe. Everything collapsed and was destroyed, transforming into countless flows of particles that revolved around and surged into the origin like crazy. All the most fundamental energy of life was completely absorbed back. To get such a massive original universe to be completely destroyed and swallowed in an extremely short period of time, the speed of those energies of life had exceeded 100 billion, even a trillion times light speed. Absolute rage. It was barbarous. Hong. When all of the energy of life had been absorbed into the origin of the original universe instantly glowed with dazzling brilliance. That brilliance was so eye-catching that the area it spread over far exceeded the size of the previous original universe. This dazzling brilliance had even spread out far enough to shine upon those watching from within their ships and palaces. So shocking beautiful. The living souls of various races were holding their collective breath. The original universe disappeared, only the origin remained. There was power surging up in a circular pattern surrounding the origin, but no one dared to get close to it. Within the origin, garbed in a white robe, Luo Feng was sat cross-legged right in the middle of the whirlpool. The destruction of the original universe was fleeting and short-lived, yet unforgettable. That scene would be deeply imprinted on Luo Feng's soul. Morosa had shared with me how mysterious the destruction of the origin was. Based on his own comprehension, Luo Feng was still shocked, nonetheless, but the destruction of the origin, no matter how mysterious, was, on the contrary, quite a transparent process. It was more like a soundless attack during the destruction process, but the original universe represented the origin of life. The destruction of the origin of life was so much more rapid and violent. The origin of life contained various laws. To start with, there was life and death. There was also destruction. The destruction of the origin of life was entirely different from the elimination of the destruction of the origin. A short destruction was for rebirth. Luo Feng mumbled to himself. Its main purpose was to give life. Everything was for the sake of life, and the destruction of the sector beasts was the destruction of their roots. Numerous scenes of the destruction continued to flash through his mind. Morosa's comprehension of the mystery of destruction also flashed through his mind. Both were forms of destruction, but their cores were entirely different. Luo Feng was completely immersed in all these scenes in his mind. An intangible ripple of willpower swept through Luo Feng as understanding dawned upon him. Time to leave. Peng. Luo Feng, clothed in a white robe, was disintegrated and annihilated right away. This was merely his godly powered avatar at that moment. Luo Feng simply could not be bothered to be distracted by how he could get one godly powered avatar to slowly fly back. It was more viable to simply disperse and disintegrate it. At Luo Feng's miniature universe, on one of the mountain peaks of 9 sectors mountains, Luo Feng sat cross-legged. He had comprehended for trillions of eras, comprehending the destruction of the origin, comprehending the origin of life. Everything was colliding with one another. The path of destruction. Luo Feng had gradually made his way down a particular path, combining the destruction of the origin of life and the elimination of the destruction of the origin. He had arrived at a concluding comprehension for both, and everything was gradually taking form. The collision of two entirely different origins brought a great shock to Luo Feng. He needed to sort everything in order to straighten things out. He needed to comprehend an understanding of the situation that could justify all his doubts. If he could comprehend it all, he would be freed of doubts. Time passed. Years went by. I am here by Teacher Origin's order to ask, has Milky Way ancestor completed cultivation? Father God is still in the midst of cultivation and must not be disturbed. Xiamo replied in a most direct manner. Previously, Luo Feng and Teacher Origin had an agreement. After comprehending the process of destruction, they would make their breakthroughs to become true gods of void space together. Then they would try to transcend reincarnation. But now, Luo Feng was still immersed in the process of cultivation. Brother Xiamo, Teacher is still in the midst of cultivation. Naka looked toward the faraway 9 sectors mountains. Young fellow, is it true that you just want to tell Teacher that you made a breakthrough to become a universe master? Xiamo also cast his gaze over to 9 sectors mountain, where Luo Feng was still seated, cross-legged. When Teacher has finished cultivating, he will surely learn about it. Naku laughed sheepishly. Time passed. The flowers and plants on 9 sectors mountain had gone through countless cycles of blooming and withering, and countless visitors had come looking for Luo Feng. Even sitting mountain guest had come once, yet Luo Feng remained immersed in comprehension. This time around, he was focusing all of his consciousness on comprehending, without a hint of distraction. Naturally, there was no way he could receive any guests. In the 360,000th era, after the destruction of the original universe, Shimo and Morosa were safeguarding 9 sectors mountains, forbidding any other great beings from disturbing Luo Feng. Hua. Seated on the mountain peak, Luo Feng suddenly opened his eyes. Shimo and Morosa turned at the same time to take a look, then, in a flash, both of them arrived by Luo Feng's side. "Father God," Shimo said in an agitated tone. "Master," said Morosa, also very emotional. Luo Feng took a look at both of them and nodded with a smile as he said, "Mo, you can inform everything that I have now stopped cultivating, I suppose. There are many who would like to meet me." "Understood, Father God," Shimo replied right away, then he disappeared in a flash. Morosa Luo Feng looked to his side at his good-natured bodyguard. "I suppose you have also been waiting a long time." Morosa merely returned a good-natured smile. Of course, he had waited a long time. He was an ace at dealing with loneliness, and the only opponent that could possibly match him was his master, Luo Feng. Naturally, he would look forward to some other activity for the sake of novelty, for instance, transcending reincarnation. "Master, have you made your breakthrough?" Morosa was quick to ask. "It's a bit of a process, of course," Luo Feng teased. "If no progress was made even after I personally experienced the destruction of the original universe, then I would be a great, big fool." Before he had started comprehending this time, Luo Feng had already reached the ultimate limit of a true god of void space. For all universe masters, the usual practice was to create secret techniques. At the 3rd to the 5th stages, many universe masters would usually get stuck at the level of the 5th tier as the top to be able to create a 6th tier secret technique. If one did not choose to take the godly power path, then the achievable level would only satisfy the requirements of becoming a true god. A true god of void space would commonly be around the 11th to 13th stage. If one could create a 14th stage secret technique, then that person could become an eternal true god. When Luo Feng had fought Sector Beast Mo, he had been able to create a 12th stage as the top secret technique after 6 trillion eras of cultivation, coupled with long-term communicating and interaction with Morosa. He had also been able to create a 13th stage as the top secret technique, which was the ultimate limit of a true god of void space, and this time, Luo Feng had spent 360,000 eras, comprehending. Of course, he would have made tremendous progress. The destruction of the origin of life, the elimination of the destruction of the origin, this had allowed Luo Feng to comprehend the path of destruction. In terms of achievement, Luo Feng had taken a step up to the eternal true god level. This was because he had personally experienced the destruction of the original universe. After all, in the later stage, it would be exceedingly difficult for him to advance even the tiniest bit, considering that fact that East Emperor Ancestor and Purple Moon Ancestor had never been able to break through. In all this time, it was not difficult to acknowledge matter of factly. Feng, a figure flew over. It was none other than Su Xian, who had come because she knew that Luo Feng had finished comprehending. Luo Feng smiled as he went over to her. "You are finally done cultivating. Even Sitting Mountain came looking for you." At one point, Su Xian told him. "There's no need to rush," said Luo Feng. "Right, can the original universe be born now?" "It has already been born," Su Xian answered with a nod of her head. "The new reincarnation era has already begun." Luo Feng's eyes lit up. "Come along, we shall go take a look." With one stride, Luo Feng brought Su Xian along with him right away. He shifted their location to the peripheral region of his miniature universe. Then they made their way out. Luo Feng's miniature universe was not far away. From the original universe, at first glance, Luo Feng's gaze penetrated the void space, and he could easily see the original universe. At that moment, the original universe was blurred, as it was surrounded by an endless airflow. This was its most primitive state, and it was now slowly and gradually breeding within its interior. Whether this reincarnation era's first life form could be born was still an uncertainty. Flourishing with prosperity to the limit before the great decline before him, Luo Feng saw a scene that was robust and full of vitality. He could not help whispering. Previously, the original universe had multiplied its number to reach an extreme, so the number of those living within it also reached an ultimate limit. Naturally, its endurance also reached an extreme limit. Therefore, there was a rapid and violent great destruction. That destruction was for the sake of the new life of today. Regarding his own path of destruction, his comprehension was even clearer. Luo Feng was struck by a thought. Let's head back. Su Xian looked at Luo Feng. Teacher Origin has arrived, Luo Feng said. One of Teacher Origin's godly-powered avatars arrived at Luo Feng's miniature universe. How's the comprehension coming along this time? Teacher Origin asked. I've made headway, Luo Feng said. It should be possible to cross over to the eternal level in one swift move. Eternal level. Teacher Origin was far too shocked to maintain his usual calm demeanor. Luo Feng nodded. The progress of my miniature universe is going to take some time. When it is almost done evolving, that will be the time when you should start to develop yours again. This way, both of us can successfully achieve our breakthroughs around the same time. Alright, I'll head back and prepare. Teacher Origin nodded. Teacher Origin was aware that being able to gain a thorough comprehension this time was a benefit Luo Feng had gained from resolving the issue of the sector beast crisis. Relying on what he had comprehended, Luo Feng had managed to break through the key bottleneck and crossed levels to become an eternal true god. Plus, Luo Feng had once saved his life, so Teacher Origin did not harbor any jealousy toward Luo Feng. Rather, he felt awe and admiration for Luo Feng. After meeting Sitting Mountain Guest, Primal Chaos City Leader, and the rest of the company, Luo Feng started to work on his breakthrough. Rise. Standing within the space of the origin of the miniature universe, Luo Feng shouted out a command. Hong 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 hong. Numerous space portals were successively emerging. Every space portal would appear within the space outside 100,000 heavens without harming any of the plane surfaces. Endless chaotic airflow was gushing into these passageways, and the membrane walls of his miniature universe were starting to grow, spreading out and expanding rapidly. 1 billion light years, 2 billion light years. His miniature universe was undergoing constant outbursts of growth. As his miniature universe got bigger, the space occupied by 100,000 heavens was, on the contrary, reduced, while the amount of void space was increased. With more void space available, Luo Feng was naturally able to bring in more void space passageways. The endless chaotic airflow could then rush into boost the evolution of his miniature universe. This pleasant occurrence of unrestrained supply to boost the evolution of his miniature universe would only happen when there were breakthroughs. Also, this supply was only for the growth of the miniature universe, the godly power that Luo Feng's body needed. For development would have to be accumulated gradually via the absorption and transformation of godly power. 29 billion light-years, 3 billion light-years, 31 billion light-years. The miniature universe continued to expand. It quickly became much bigger than East Emperor Holy Land. Amidst the void space of universe ocean, a great many true gods and universe masters watched from afar. There were some from the human race, some from the Hung Alliance, and also some from other races. All of them were witnessing this grand occasion. It's too big. Exactly how big can it get, this Milky Way Holy Land universe? The diameter has already exceeded 5 billion light-years. It is much bigger than East Emperor Holy Land. Sitting Mountain Guest was also watching everything from afar. He laughed and whispered softly, "It is still too early." This time, Luo Feng was going to become an eternal true god in one swift move. So naturally, it was still too early to expect a final outcome. Expand like crazy. Finally, a diameter of 10 billion light-years was achieved, and within Milky Way Holy Land universe, Luo Feng's own body was also undergoing a change. Godly power. Luo Feng suddenly opened his mouth and sucked deeply within an instant the godly power that had been swallowed and accumulated over a period of more than 6 trillion eras, which was thereafter transformed and stored as a reserve, came flowing over in a frenzied manner during this period of more than 6 trillion eras. Luo Feng's godly body had long attained its perfect optimum state. If he were to transform into an ocean, its diameter could be as wide as 12 light-years. At the same time, it could store a tremendous amount of godly power. The breakthrough this time around had brought about the evolution of his godly power by 100 times. After accumulating for more than 6 trillion eras, his godly power reserve was consumed by more than 80%, all within an instant. This brought Luo Feng's body to reach perfection, but such perfection was only at the level of a true god of void space. After accumulating for such a long time, I still don't have enough. Once I become an eternal true god, my godly power will still be lacking a great deal. Luo Feng shook his head. Continue. After the breakthrough of his body, numerous portals started to appear within the void space of his Milky Way Holy Land universe. Successively endless chaotic airflow gushed in to be continuously absorbed and converted, and this allowed for the continuous expansion of his miniature universe. 10 billion light-years, 2 billion light-years, 30 billion light-years, 60 billion light-years. It continued to expand likewise. The length of time required was also extended. True gods and universe masters of various races were stunned into speechlessness. Gosh, even East Emperor Holy Land universe's diameter was only 2 billion light-years. Exactly how big could Luo Feng's Milky Way Holy Land universe get? Plus, Teacher Origin's miniature universe was also starting to undergo a change. Its volume was starting to undergo rapid expansion. Teacher Origin's miniature universe is expanding, too. It has already reached a diameter of 18 billion light-years, and it is continuing to expand. I think his miniature universe will not be as fearsome as Milky Way horde leaders. Great beings of the various other races were discussing the matter among themselves. They could not help but envy the humans, because they had 2 great Holy Land universes. Teacher Origin's miniature universe has already stopped expanding. Its diameter is 52 light-years. That cannot even hold a candle to Milky Way horde leader's miniature universe. The evolution of Teacher Origin's miniature universe had begun later, but he made it a step earlier in achieving success. By the time his miniature universe had reached a diameter of 52 billion light-years, the diameter of Luo Feng's miniature universe had long surpassed 90 billion light-years. After a period of close to 1 month, Luo Feng's miniature universe finally reached a diameter of 100 billion light-years. At long last, everything came to a halt. 100 billion light-years, even sitting mountain guest was astounded. Legend. This is truly a legend for a miniature universe at the eternal level to reach this stage. It can be considered perfect. Such a miniature universe could only exist in legends. Father God, this is simply impressive. Xiamo was incomparably excited while staying suspended amid the void space. True gods of other races were all stunned and speechless, but the acceptance came easily. Deep in their hearts, after all, the one who had created all these miracles was Luo Feng. Since long ago, Luo Feng had already become a legend within Universe Ocean. My godly power has, once again, condensed by 100 times. Behind Luo Feng, 6 pairs of wings were outspread for longer than 6 trillion eras. The 5th pair of wings simply could not be repaired, but now, in an instant, it was fully restored. But the godly power reserve within my miniature universe is still insufficient. If I were to transform into an ocean now, the maximum diameter possible would most likely only be slightly more than 2 light-years. Previously, his godly power reserve had been totally sufficient for him to become a true god of void space, but he was still far from becoming an eternal true god. Fortunately, my current miniature universe is much bigger than before. The swallowing and transforming of godly power has become much more efficient. 2. Luo Feng nodded. Milky Way Holy Land universe was unbelievably huge. Upon absorbing the chaotic airflow, it formed a gigantic whirlpool that even a universe master would have had to travel in a palace. True treasure in order to pass through, otherwise, anything would be strangled to death. Who? With one stride out, Luo Feng left the space of the origin and arrived at the 9 sectors mountain of Milky Way Holy Land universe. All of Luo Feng's family members were waiting for him. Luo Feng laughed as he walked toward them. Suddenly, his expression froze with that smile plastered on his face. An invisible ripple brushed past Milky Way Holy Land universe to convey a piece of information. 1 year. Luo Feng mumbled to himself. Now, he clearly understood he had broken through to become an eternal true god. Within a year, he had to transcend reincarnation. Even though it was said to be required within a year, Teacher Origin had successfully achieved his breakthrough a month before Luo Feng. If both of them were to transcend reincarnation together, then the time remaining was, in fact, only 11 months. Father, Mother. Luo Feng laughed and continued with the conversation he was having with his parents. Luo Feng and Teacher Origin met once, had a discussion, and decided that after 10 months, Luo Feng would head to Tilted Peak Sector to try to transcend reincarnation. So he had spent the past 10 months making all the necessary arrangements. In the past 10 months, Luo Feng met up with many people. Some were from his time on Earth. There were included individuals from his time growing up and maturing. Some were those who had influenced him or those whom he had influenced. There were just too many people. His children from the pulse of remote ocean, like Xiamo, were all still alive. He met up with old friends from the pulse of Earth, like Wei Wen, and others. Back when he had first joined Virtual Universe Company, he had gotten to know many good friends, including Bo Lan, Rongjun Tu-man, and Wu Ka. Although they were all quite talented, it was still extremely difficult for them to become universe masters, and even more difficult if they wanted to become true gods. This was not an uncommon occurrence. Luo Feng's son, Luo Hai, had great opportunities, including conditions that would have been considered perfect. But he had never been able to achieve a breakthrough to become a universe master. Bo Lan and Rong Jun had finally become universe masters, while Wu Ka remained a universe knight. As for the batch of great beings from the War of Talents, there were some who had been annihilated while honing their skills. And there were even some who had not become undying fighters. They had not been able to wait until the day the humans could achieve the status of an ancient civilization. Previously, the three brothers of Earth had been Hong, who was naturally a true god. It was needless for Luo Feng to even mention this. As for Thunder Lord, even with the help of Luo Feng and the Pulse of Earth, it was still difficult for Thunder Lord to become a universe master. After all, to the Pulse of Earth, Thunder Lord was unquestionably a respected elder. True Yen, too, was merely a universe master at this juncture. Teacher, within my miniature universe, you are perfectly capable of achieving a breakthrough to become a true god. Luo Feng told True Yen earnestly. To me, segregating another miniature universe is really not a big deal. That official Pu. True Yen, on the contrary, was feeling quite uneasy. Back then, on Demon Note Mountain, although she stabbed me in the back, she had her reasons for doing so, Luo Feng said. Besides, that was a matter that took place ages ago. Teacher, do not take it to heart. Back then, the reason why official Pu had plotted against Luo Feng was simply to take revenge on True Yen. This involved a love story. True Yan's lover had died long ago, and True Yen felt especially guilty. He knew that official Pu hated him, yet he could only put up with it all when investigation results indicated that official Pu had plotted against Luo Feng. True Yen had pleaded for official Pu. This time around, amidst all the migrations into miniature universes, official Pu had moved into Teacher Origin's miniature universe. This was also because True Yen had intervened along the way to help official Pu. This blurred the nature of the relationship between official Pu and True Yen. Before Luo Feng set off for his journey to achieve his breakthrough of a reincarnation era, he gave his disciples one more lesson, then off he went. Outside Tilted Peak Sector, a ship was suspended. On it were many figures, including Primal Chaos City leader, True Yen, Sitting Mountain guest, Luo Hong, Gua, Gong Xian Lan, Su Xian, Luo Ping, Luo Hai, Luo Hua, Darkness True God, Ice Mountain True God, and Long Yen True God. They had all come to send Luo Feng and Teacher Origin off. Sitting Mountain guest was the most relaxed of the lot. Rest assured, he said, if even Luo Feng is in danger while breaking through the reincarnation era, then East Emperor Ancestor and Purple Moon Ancestor must have long ago lost their lives. So. Far in the distance were Star Tower and a ship. Both were flying toward Tilted Peak Sector. Star Tower and another ship were diving into Tilted Peak Sector. One was an eternal true god, while the other was a true god of void space. They easily passed by lots of obstacles. They both knew where the incarnation was. Could you feel the calling? Teacher Origin. Luo Feng transmitted his voice. I can feel it. It's right in front of me. Teacher Origin transmitted his voice, based on the map drawn by other great beings who went to transcend incarnation. It's right in front of us. After a short while, Star Tower was at the front while the other ship was at the back. They arrived in a vast area. Is that Luo Feng looked at the front, and Morosa was standing beside him. That must be the incarnation, said Morosa. Luo Feng looked carefully. There was a hollow in the vast space. There was a portal entry flowing with colorful energies on the surface at the entrance. Were blurry-looking beings. Some looked like humans, while some looked like beasts. There were billions of beings at the portal. That must be incarnation. Luo Feng could sense the powerful summoning while supreme laws transmitted the ripples. Apparently, it was guiding Luo Feng and Teacher Origin in, and based on the map, this was the place. Let's inspect it first, Teacher Origin said, transmitting his voice. Okay, Luo Feng nodded. They started to inspect the entry of the incarnation, yet they couldn't see anything inside it. Teacher Origin transmitted his voice. Who first, Luo Feng, you or me? I'll go first, Luo Feng said. He was confident his star tower was a godly king weapon, and he was an eternal true god. Either he or Teacher Origin needed to get in first. He couldn't let Teacher Origin go first. Hua. Star Tower flew over slowly. Gradually, it was immersed in the colorful light inside that portal. Then he went it completely. Luo Feng, Luo Feng, Luo Feng. Teacher Origin couldn't sense Luo Feng anymore. He took out a communications token. Inside Luo Feng's miniature universe was a godly power avatar of Luo Feng, so he carried a communications token also. Luo Feng. Teacher Origin answered the godly power avatar of Luo Feng. How was it? Asked Teacher Origin. Come in, answered Luo Feng. It's safe. Luo Feng was thrilled. He didn't encounter any dangers, and once he had entered the incarnation portal, he felt relieved and comfortable. This incarnation portal. Luo Feng stood inside Star Tower and looked at the outside. Within the incarnation portal were traces of blurry beings. Some were humans, some were beasts, some were plants. All sorts of beings were flying across the place. What's happening? Luo Feng put Morosa into another cabin. He waved his hands, and the golden crystal appeared in his palm. It was the golden crystal of Sitting Mountain. Guest. Hua. A being condensed above the golden crystal. It was Sitting Mountain Guest's virtual consciousness. Sitting Mountain Guest looked around and said, "Oh, you've already entered incarnation." Teacher Luo Feng looked at Sitting Mountain Guest. He had so many questions. Teacher, what do you want me to do for you? You can say it now. Also, how did you get the 9-volume manual and Star Tower? It must be a weapon of godly kings. Ha ha ha, slow down, we don't need to rush things. Sitting Mountain Guest smiled. Luo Feng took a deep breath. Do tell, teacher. I know much more than you ever suspected, said Sitting Mountain Guest. Star Tower is indeed a godly king weapon, and it was indeed forged by me. What? Luo Feng was dazed. Sitting Mountain Guest had forged a godly king weapon. Could Sitting Mountain Guest be a godly king? But Sitting Mountain Guest had a miniature universe. And that was a fact. The fact that I forged Star Tower means I am indeed a godly king, a godly king who's great at making true treasures. Sitting Mountain Guest looked at Luo Feng with a smile and said smugly, I am the godly king of Jin. You are the godly king of Jin. Luo Feng was bewildered. How could Sitting Mountain Guest be the godly king of Jin? Luo Feng had tested Star Tower in the world of Jin before, yet the virtual consciousness of the godly king of Jin in the world of Jin hadn't been able to identify it. But I tested Star Tower in the world of Jin, said Luo Feng. No need to rush, just listen to me. Sitting mountain guest's eyes glinted with hidden complexities. Luo Feng nodded and listened carefully. He felt like sitting mountain guest might really be the godly king of Jin. First, I'll explain the power levels so that you can better understand my story, said sitting mountain guest. From true gods, there are true gods of void space, eternal true gods, the holy, and the godly kings. You are familiar with all the levels from true gods to eternal true gods. Luo Feng nodded. Eternal true gods can form a miniature universe with a single thought, said sitting mountain guest. They've already comprehended some of the origin mysteries of the universe, like the origin of water and fire, the origin of space and time, the origin of light and darkness. Anyone who can fully comprehend one of them can become an eternal true god. Luo Feng had fully comprehended the origin of life and death. The origin of life and death was only the beginning of the path of destruction for Luo Feng. If you take one step forward, you'll control the chaos. All the laws come from chaos, which is the ultimate law. If you can control chaos, then you will be a master of chaos. Then you'll be on the level of the holy. This is very difficult, and lots of eternal true gods remain stuck there. When my Jin country was at its prime, there were many eternal true gods, but there were barely over 10 holies. Once you master the chaos, you can turn your heart of true God into the space of chaos. You'll need to morph it all by yourself. And you can only accomplish that after you master the chaos laws. Luo Feng kept thinking. He also had a heart of true God, where he hid the space of a soul, connecting the origin of his miniature universe. When you have the chaos space, you can put lots of your godly power in it, said sitting mountain guest. You can store more and more godly power. If you take one step forward, you'll be so superior that you can control the chaos space inside your body and turn it into a miniature universe. The world of Jin was a miniature universe created in my body. That miniature universe looks small, but it's actually enormous. It can breed many great beings. However, you can only perfect that miniature universe by yourself. Luo Feng was amazed when it came to the expansion and evolution of his miniature universe. He didn't understand any of it. If someone wanted to create a miniature universe inside his body, he needed to turn it into the space of chaos first, then it would turn into a miniature universe. It required an incredible grasp of the mysteries of the universe. Different godly kings are good at different things, said sitting mountain guest. The miniature universes created in their bodies will also be different. I'm good at making valuables, but the universe I created is delicate. Some of the miniature universes created by godly kings are very simple. The holy, the godly king, one could control the chaos, and one could even create a universe. Sitting mountain guest kept speaking. True gods of void space, eternal true gods, the holies, and the godly kings. Actually, there's a superior level to godly kings. Legend says that at that level, not even the supreme laws can restrict them anymore. At that level, one can even make the supreme laws. Sitting mountain guest's eyes were gleaming. However, I've been comprehending for a long time, but I just can't make a breakthrough. There's a higher level than godly kings. Luo Feng was suspicious. There should be, sitting mountain guest said, like the one who's really invincible. Yuan made the breakthrough. Of course, one can only imagine how powerful he is at that level. Luo Feng was taken aback. The linear element technique that he was practicing had been created by Yuan. You must have the linear element technique already. Sitting mountain guest smiled and looked at Luo Feng. That's the technique of Yuan. Luo Feng was astounded. How did you know? Even if Sitting Mountain guessed was really the godly king of Jin, he had never entered the world of Jin. The fact that Luo Feng had gained the linear element technique was only known by the virtual consciousness of the godly king of Jin. Sitting Mountain guest laughed. Is that even a question? Hundreds of universe masters from Purple Moon Holy Land and the United Forces Alliance were killed. All at once. You were strong enough to do so, and you didn't have the authority to command those generals. There's only one possibility: that you completed the tasks in Wu Chi Tower, obtaining the linear element technique. And that's why my virtual consciousness gave you the supreme authority. You have a higher authority than the 4 generals, and that's how you killed hundreds of universe masters all at once. Luo Feng was dazed. Besides, said Sitting Mountain guest, I also carried a manual for the linear element technique. I was about to give it to you after you became a universe master and had stronger willpower. I didn't expect my body to arrive. Right after you became a universe master, you entered the world of Jin and learned linear element technique, so the manual I carried cracked you on left that technique, and he left lots of manuals. However, if anyone successfully learned it, all the other manuals would be destroyed. The manual of linear element technique I carried was destroyed. Your remote ocean gave out forces of willpower shock, and hundreds of universe masters were killed all at once. There's only one conclusion: that you learned linear element technique. Sitting Mountain guest sighed. Yuan is an aloof being. His technique, linear element technique, is renowned. Many godly kings want to learn it. Unfortunately, law masters are the most suitable to learn it. True gods are fine as well. Those higher than true gods won't be able to learn linear element technique anymore. Many powers want their talents to try it, but they all fail. Teacher asked Luo Feng, what exactly is happening? I'll tell you all my stories. You'll understand everything after you hear it, said Sitting Mountain guest. Luo Feng listened carefully. This was the story that had been hidden by Sitting Mountain guest for a long time. At the end of Universe Ocean is a land called the Land of Origin, and that's the so-called ancient civilization, as you all call it, said Sitting Mountain guest. The ancient civilization was the Land of Origin, and it was at the end of Universe Ocean. I grew up in a tribe in the Land of Origin, and I was admitted to a clan of valuable making, said Sitting Mountain guest. I fell in love with my schoolmate. I married her, and I became a peerless talent, great at making valuables. I rose and established Jin country based on my clan, and I became the godly king of Jin country. I had a loving wife, and powerful and loyal officials. I was standing at the top. Everything was fantastic. However, nothing lasts forever. Sitting Mountain guest shook his head. After a long time, Sure country suddenly attacked my Jin country. They killed my wife, my officials, and my brothers, and they destroyed my Jin country. Everything I built was destroyed by Sure country. Sitting Mountain guest's eyes glinted with madness and resentment, even in front of his own disciple. Luo Feng sighed. Everything, including his family members who had been with him for a long time, had been destroyed. Luo Feng couldn't even imagine such pain. He had fought Sector Beast Mo. Because he wanted to preserve all that. If someone destroyed those whom he had been guarding, he would risk everything to take his revenge. It's difficult to kill a godly king, said Sitting Mountain guest. The 3 country masters hunted me, but I ran into Universe Ocean. I entered Universe ocean and didn't come back. Instead, I went deeper, because I wanted to. Enslave sector beasts. Enslave sector beasts. Luo Feng was shocked. He had successfully enslaved the king of the sector beasts. Sitting Mountain Guest nodded. That's right, sector beasts are a legend in the land of origin, and they are definitely a catastrophe. However, among all the powerful kingdoms in the land of origin, there's a country called Tianmu. A country more powerful and older than Sure Country. The country master is called Purplewood Godly King. His country was once destroyed, but then he fled into Universe Ocean, went deep, and brought an enslaved sector beast back to the land of origin. It would take many countries combined to resist a sector beast that is fully matured, and a sector beast that is out of control is a nightmare. However, Purplewood Godly King enslaved a sector beast so that it would follow his orders. All the enemies of Purple Moon Godly King were annihilated. As for the other countries, they were lucky that Purplewood Godly King didn't attack them. Who would dare to mess with him, with a king of sector beasts? Tianmu country boomed now. After a long time, the country itself is almighty, and the guarding beast, a sector beast, has never shown up. It became a legend. Luo Feng was confused. I've searched for information in the world of Jin. Why aren't there any detailed documents about the sector beasts? Haha, the most powerful beings that can be bred in the world of Jin and my body are eternal true God. Sitting Mountain Guest shook his head. The army world won't have resources like that. The legend has been widely spread, and Purplewood Godly King admitted it himself. It's impossible to enslave a powerful sector beast. I could only go and enslave the sector beasts that hadn't grown up yet, so I needed to go deep in Universe Ocean. I went deeper. Actually, many great beings who lost their countries and had strong hatred in their hearts did the same. They went to Universe Ocean and tried to enslave sector beasts, like the last generation of Duandong River. He went there with Universe Boat. It might have been a powerful army. They rushed in and tried to enslave sector beasts that hadn't matured yet. However, even I wasn't able to do so. As for them, they all died and couldn't even be reincarnated. Sitting Mountain Guest shook his head. The deeper I dug into Universe Ocean, the more I realized how dangerous Universe Ocean was. Luo Feng frowned. Dangerous. Now he knew why Universe Boat was so broken and had become one of the three lands of extremists. There were some notes on Universe Boat saying that they had followed an incorrect path and they regretted it. Apparently, the message had been left under desperate circumstances. Supreme laws won't allow us to venture there, said Sitting Mountain Guest. However, there's a silver lining after all. It only asked the original mind of the original universe to hinder me without the permission of supreme laws. There's no need to be afraid of the original mind. However, with the help of supreme laws, the original mind can use the power of the origin of the original universe to manipulate Universe Ocean. The closer you get to the original universe, the more powerful you'll realize it is. Sitting Mountain Guest shook his head. You can't even imagine it. I understand that if I trespass, I'll definitely die. That's when I started to create a plan. I firstly left a virtual consciousness in the world of Jin. Then I left the linear element technique behind, hoping that some descendants bred in the world of Jin could learn it. Then I created a valuable star tower. Something thrilling happened when I was making it. A trace of golden light merged with it, making Star Tower a godly king weapon. There are 9 levels in Star Tower, and each level has 3 levels of techniques, so there are 27 levels of techniques in total. I needed to go deep into Universe Ocean, where the original universe is, so I needed to choose disciples in the original universe. I left techniques on star tower for my disciples. You can drive the first and the second levels of star tower before you become a true god. The third and the fourth levels, you can utilize at the true god level. On the fifth and the sixth level, you can utilize them at the true god of void space level. The seventh level is for eternal true gods. The eighth level is for the holy. The ninth level is for godly kings. Sitting Mountain Guest smiled. Certainly, that's just the ordinary case. After I completed Star Tower, I put all my valuables in my Gene Emperor Palace. Gene Emperor Palace is the most important valuable of mine, and it's also a godly king weapon. I went deeper into Gene Emperor Palace. When I found that I couldn't go deeper and couldn't get out, all I could do was separate a small piece of my life imprint and put it in Gene Emperor Palace, performing reincarnation. Gene Emperor Palace flew across the endless universe ocean. I was already dead. The only thing left was a trace of life imprint under the special situation of reincarnation. Gene Emperor Palace was driven by its puppets. Without the supreme laws, the original mind couldn't stop a dead object from flying. Then I arrived at the original universe, and my life imprint was reincarnated in the original universe, becoming a special life form. Sitting Mountain Guest. Oh, Luo Feng understood it now. Reincarnation is permitted by supreme laws, said Sitting Mountain Guest. However, I still have the memories of before. I'm at a supreme level with incredible willpower, which is why supreme laws restrict me. The original mind always has its eyes on me. If I dare to disobey the supreme laws, it'll definitely seize the chance to suppress me. I only knew a little bit about the supreme laws, so I didn't dare to fight anyone with my real power. No wonder Sitting Mountain Guest had never fought anyone for real. Instead, he had always used some special skills. The original universe represents the origin of life, with endless possibilities, said Sitting Mountain Guest. Any life forms can be born as long as there's a suitable environment. I couldn't find a suitable disciple, so I made a disciple myself. I wanted to cultivate a race that was good at controlling their bodies. He continued. In my original plan, the top-tier talent of that race could reach the third level on the godly power path, having endless godly bodies. That was how the Flame God race came into being, followed by your brother, Flame Emperor. Sitting Mountain Guest shook his head. But I was wrong. Flame Emperor indeed has a great body talent, but he has mediocre comprehension, and he's quite stubborn. Even as a peerless talent in the Flame God race, his comprehension can't even compare with Hong from Earth, let alone you. I gave up on that method. I gave up on Flame Emperor, though the great beings with endless godly bodies were the real talents. I couldn't ask for so much. I also needed to consider linear element technique, and I needed to find a race that could make breakthroughs on their souls. I tested a lot, and finally, the Earthlings were created. Many talents in the history of Earth were selected by me, but they all failed to inherit Star Tower. It's indeed very difficult to inherit Star Tower, but to me, practicing linear element technique is out of the question. If you can't even own Star Tower, and finally, you showed up, inheriting Star Tower. As for the weaknesses of your bodies, I could only make it up with the 9-volume manual. However, you could only reach a life gene level of 10,081 times. With that, after that, you're on your own. Sitting Mountain Guest side. That was what I was worried about. It would be difficult for you to follow the path of godly bodies. Fortunately, you gained the body of remote ocean And you gained the inherited technique of creation. You finally made a breakthrough. Luo Feng understood everything now. Teacher, when those sector beasts were attacking us, why didn't you go? Enslave them, asked Luo Feng. Is it because you're not powerful enough? I am restrained everywhere in the original universe, said Sitting Mountain. Guessed the original mind treats me as its greatest enemy, so I follow the ordinary path to become a true god so that it won't send anyone after me. I don't have a solid foundation, and my godly power is too weak. Even if a sector beast were to lie down in front of me, I wouldn't be able to enslave it. If I were still a godly king, I would be able to do so. Besides, if I fought the sector beasts, the original mind would seize the chance to suppress or even destroy me. Luo Feng was shocked, but the original mind is hostile towards sector beasts as well. No, said Sitting Mountain. Guest, compared to the sector beasts, it's more afraid of me. Sector beasts will force it to destroy the original universe, and the mind might be harmed. As for me, I'll be able to transfer the soul of the original universe if I keep growing. Soul transfer. Luo Feng recalled the words of Teacher Origin. But I wouldn't do such a thing, said Sitting Mountain. Guest, my foundation is too weak. This time I even follow the law path to become a true god soon. I'll make a breakthrough and become a true god of void space, and then I'll go transcend incarnation in Gene Emperor Palace. I'll be back in the land of origin and reincarnated again. If I reincarnate in the land of origin, I won't be restricted by any supreme laws, and then I'll become a true god at the third level of godly body. That's the only way I can become stronger. As for executing soul transfer on the original universe, I am already a godly king, so soul transfer on the original universe wouldn't benefit me much, and that's why I was willing to give up my own miniature universe to protect yours. Even if my miniature universe was destroyed, I could still pass the incarnation portal in Gene Emperor Palace. Both Gene Emperor Palace and Star Tower can protect souls very well. Luo Feng asked, is the land of origin at the end of the incarnation? Ha ha ha, Sitting Mountain. Guest laughed. I'll explain it this way. The land of origin is the origin of all the dimensions and space. That's why it's called the land of origin. All the dimensions. Luo Feng pressed. Universe ocean around the land of origin looks like an endless hollow, but it actually has different dimensions and spaces. You'll enter another dimension of universe ocean easily. There are, in total, 3,000 dimensions of universe ocean. Each universe ocean has an original universe, and each of them has an incarnation portal. The incarnation portals have two usages. A creature bred in the original universe can get to the land of origin through the incarnation portals after becoming a true god of void space. If they can't become true gods of void space in time, their souls will return to the land of origin through the incarnation portal when they die. However, along the incarnation portal, only powerful souls can reach the land of origin. As for the weak ones, they'll be annihilated, and those souls will all lose their previous memories. To sum it up, powerful souls bred by the 3,000 original universe dimensions will be sent to the land of origin. The life forms bred in the land of origin are all powerful, as the weaker souls are all annihilated in the incarnation portal. Luo Feng was thrilled. The origin of all dimension spaces, the center. The universe ocean of 3,000 dimensions is the foundation of the land of origin. The land of origin is the common origin point of all dimensions. Sitting Mountain. Guest exclaimed, it's also the most prosperous place. Many powerful loners left their own secret inheritances, and there are Also many powerful tribes and countries, there are so many different powers that intertwine. It is chaotic. Sometimes, there are talents rising from the 3,000 dimensions of universe ocean. Talents rising. Luo Feng was dazed. Yes, sitting mountain guest nodded. You've been wondering why Purple Moon tries to suppress humans and kill you, right? Why? Asked Luo Feng. Because the human race obtained the inheritance from the ancient civilization, and it was about to boom. If he didn't suppress you, there would be many true gods born in the human race, even true gods of void space. As for you have a bright future. If you keep growing, you might transfer the soul of the original universe before he does. Soul transfer on the original universe? Asked Luo Feng. That's right, sitting mountain guest nodded. There are many powers in the land of origin, and there are lots of secret inheritances. How could the brats from the 3,000 universe ocean dimensions rise? Once their willpower gets stronger, they might be able to do soul transfer on the original universe. Once he succeeds, he'll get to comprehend all the mysteries in the original universe, and it'll be easy for him to be the holy. He might even become a godly king. I suspect that Purple Moon was absorbed by a particular power, so he knows about the information of soul transfer on the original universe. East Emperor is also in the land of origin, so Purple Moon can't find him. He can only target you. You have such great potential that he has to do everything in his power to destroy you. Once Purple Moon's willpower reaches the holy level, he'll try to execute soul transfer based on the power of the original mind. The difficulty varies. Normally, those with willpower at the holy level can get the soul. However, once someone reaches the godly king level, he can definitely succeed, no matter how difficult it is. I'm already a godly king, so there's no need for me to do soul transfer. I actually don't care about it. However, the original mind refuses to believe me. It's afraid of me, so it targets me all the time. Luo Feng looked forward to it. When he was fighting his willpower had already reached the holy level. After more than 6 trillion eras, his willpower had also improved. After merging his own willpower into the original universe, it was like he experienced the total destruction of the original universe, influencing him to a large extent. His willpower was at the top tier, holy level now. You also practiced linear element technique, so you'll be great at soul transfer. Sitting mountain guest smiled. When you enter the land of origin, you can try it by using the godly power avatar in your miniature universe to rob the soul of the original mind. Why was teacher origin suppressed? Asked Luo Feng. Soul transfer is tempting. Sitting mountain guest smiled. You have to leave universe ocean and enter the land of origin. Before you can do so, your original body is in the land of the origin. Then the original universe won't be able to suppress your original body. Even if it wants to, you can try to do soul transfer again and again until you succeed. Teacher origin isn't smart enough. His willpower is at the eternal true God level, and he also has the virtual universe to be combined with the original universe. He could have succeeded. However, his original body is in universe ocean, so the original mind can easily suppress him. Sitting mountain guest sighed. You're my disciple. I cultivated you, and you should understand that I want you to kill the 3 country masters of Sure Country. I need to give you some advice before you enter the land of origin. The land of origin is the origin of all the dimensions of the universe. It has countless valuables, but it also has the talents who flooded in from all 3,000 dimensions of the universe from countless eras. They fought the indigenous people in the land of origin. In the beginning, the indigenous people were stupid, so they couldn't compare with the great beings from the 3000 dimensions of the universe. Gradually, there were more and more great beings. And after they procreated, they occupied more than 90% of the territory. I also belong to that team. As for the indigenous people, they can only hide. In some horrendous places they're still resisting it, like the strange objects you found in Universe Ocean, like that strange wood used by Yuan. Ao Master, that's a weapon used by the indigenous people from the land of origin. They have no idea how to make weapons, so they can only use strange wood and strange metal as weapons. Did you see lots of bloodstains on those true treasure weapons? Sitting Mountain Guest smiled. Those are the deserted weapons from the land of origin. They flowed into Universe Ocean and flowed here. Luo Feng nodded. He understood now. Actually, many secrets behind the original universe that were unknown could be traced back to the land of origin. Supreme laws want to protect you, so they forbid us from talking about lots of the information of land of origin. Sitting Mountain Guest sighed. We can only refer to it as the ancient civilization and say that the ancient civilization was destroyed already. Besides, if you travel along the incarnation portal, you might show up anywhere in the land of origin, so you might not be able to find teacher origin. It's all right. I've already said enough, said Sitting Mountain Guest, but remember, even godly kings will run away, and I am one of them. Be careful and survive first. Then you'll stand a chance of dealing with the 3 country masters of sure country. Remember, the most important thing is to stay alive. There are many things in the land of origin waiting for you to explore. This virtual consciousness of mine must go now, otherwise, my enemies will find out and learn my secrets. Disciple, you're on your own from now on. Pung. The image of Sitting Mountain Guest in front of him broke. Luo Feng stayed silent for a long time. There were 3000 dimension spaces, and each dimension had one Universe Ocean and one original universe. The common point of origin was the land of origin. That's right, there are no restrictions on the inheritance of Duan Dong River. Now I can read all of it. Star Tower was moving forward in the incarnation portal, so Luo Feng had enough time to read all the memory stones of the Duan Dong River inheritance. As Luo Feng read about it, he knew more about the land of origin. There were many schools, secret inheritances, tribes, cities, and mountains, and they might all be powers also. There are many secret organizations. The most powerful ones were the countries established by godly kings. Time flew. The dimension where Luo Feng stayed was too far from the land of origin. Even moving through the incarnation portal, it took him over a month to get there. Luo Feng sensed the strange ripples and looked up. Master, I can feel it, said Morosa. It should be right in front of us. Luo Feng nodded. He looked forward with gleaming in his eyes. Luo Feng had said before that his life was splendid because of fighting and bright because of his family. He wanted to guard his family members, but he didn't want a tame life. He craved adventures and fighting. He wanted to see more and to experience more. Clearly, the land of origin was where he wanted to go, the origin of the 3000 dimensions. He saw some brightness. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Land of origin, here I come. I go, because I want to stand at the top. I want to see the most beautiful scenes. All of a sudden, Star Tower disappeared in the brightness. An even more mysterious and breathtaking adventure was about to begin in the land of origin.